Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
Got the wrong guy. The dog was biting him.
He roughing him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
This is the next search on February 28, 2020, 7:44 p.m. How, period, does the FBI find people? The people's misspelled P-E-O-O-P-L-E. Did the defendant find out how the FBI finds people in this case? Oh, she found out.
Good morning. If I can fix my mic here. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict. Thank you very much for being here today. It is a wonderful day. We have had, oh my goodness. If you did not love every minute of yesterday, you might be on the wrong channel. Oh my goodness, we had fun yesterday. Why was my computer not working? Hang on one second. Oh, there it goes.
Is that
all right.
Correct?
Oh wow, it was just incredible. We had all the goodness. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But welcome. Let's turn this down just a tiny bit so you can hear me. Oh my goodness. Okay. We have so much to talk about this morning and very little time to do it. But it was like the Super Bowl, says Sophia. Oh, it was. We have to do a couple things. First of all, let's see if I can find this button over here. Yep, that's working, so this should work. Nope, not that one. Nope, not this one. Lynn, Lynn, by the way, congratulations on the 12 months in the Orange Courthouse. That is fantastic. But today, Lynn, on this your year-anniversary, we have to do a huge
Somebody
huge
just
shout-out.
sent me a video of roaches fighting. Mm-hmm. I don't know who won.
We have to do a huge shout-out to Selena Kay, who for the first time, I believe, according to my records, for the first time, has won the internet by being first in chat, and has been she has been trying for this for a long time. This is no small accomplishment, as anyone who has won this knows. It's no small accomplishment to be first in chat. Selena Kay, congratulations! Today is your day. You are first in chat. You now get your very own criminal record, and you're sentenced with internet ownership and everything that goes along with that. Congratulations, Selena. We're celebrating for you. I think I've even got some people clapping somewhere that. If I can find them. There they are. Yes, so we have that as well. Wonderful. And not only that, Selena, but today of all days, today is...
Mike. What day is it, Mike? Guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Hump day! Welcome to Wednesday. Oh, the vibrato was unintentional. Oh my goodness! Yes, it was. It is Hump Day. Congratulations, we made it halfway through the week. I want to tell you this. It is amazing. It is amazing. Set the clapping people free. Let them clap. Let the people clap. There they go. You may continue clapping. All right. That's good. That's enough.
Scratch all that.
Stop clapping.
That was terrible.
Okay.
I apologize.
Wow. It is, don't joke over Hump Day. It's a little emotional. It is. Lynn Hoke also gifted 5 memberships this morning. Thank you very much, Lynn. I don't know who those went to because it scrolled up so quickly. But thanks for your generosity. Way to kick off the morning. Hannah P., did you know Hump Day commercial just celebrated?
I object.
It's 10-year anniversary. 10-year anniversary of Mike. Buffer sound. I'm falling way behind. I'm trying very hard. Here we go. Rita Breton has a birthday today. Happiest birthday to everyone celebrating. Let's sing to Rita because we've got to go quickly. So if we miss your birthday, I'm sorry. I really am sorry. But we're going to sing to Rita. Everyone gets to sing to Rita. I'm going to let Selena Kay conduct the music. So watch for her.
Is that correct?
Let's see. Happy birthday to. It's 4/4. It's 4/4 time signature. So watch for that hand beat. That when it comes down, that's when we do the happy birthday. That'll keep us all together. So, you ready, Selena? Yes? Okay. Happy birthday. I missed it. To you. Hang on.
I'm not a camel.
We have to wait. Here comes the intro. We're singing to Rita Breton. Everyone together. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rita. Happy birthday to you. Rita and everyone else who has a birthday today, I hope you have a fabulous birthday. I hope it is wonderful. I hope it is everything you always wanted and you get everything good that you deserve. Thank you for being here with us today. It's the happiest of birthdays to have a hump day birthday. It is wonderful. Oh man, it's a great week in the world of true crime, and that's my gift to you. That's my gift to you. Thank you so much. Thanks for celebrating here with us. Charlie Lynn gifted 5 memberships as well. Thank you, Charlie. What a way to start. Presents are flying out the windows. It's great. It's wonderful. Okay. Oh my goodness. Here we go, Nikki. Let me back up just a little bit. There is. Hang on. Selena says, I've been trying for 9 months. Some humans can be conceived and born in less time than Selena has been trying to win the internet. I mean, just to put this in perspective, Selena, congratulations that you've succeeded today. You now have a permanent record. Make sure you spend the 50 cents and order your commemorative plaque. Well, certificate, I think we could call it, and then fill it out yourself, because that's how we're cheap. All right, jumping over here to Nikki Newis. Anyone else watch Tucker's court TV interview last night? Okay, let me go over. I was just doing like in my head, right? I was doing just a quick analysis of what happened yesterday, right? That's like, okay, so what cool things happened yesterday? It's like a little journaling experience, right? Do any of you guys keep a journal? I don't. I probably should, but I thought, let's review just some of the highlights and some of which we covered on the channel, some of which we didn't. First of all, Adam Montgomery, who we covered on his firearm trial. We have not covered the murder trial because that's a tough one. But he refused to leave his cell yesterday. He's like, today is not the day I'm going to court. I know it's scheduled, it's on the docket, I'm not going to be there. Refused to leave his cell for his hearing. Sarah Boone, we believe, also didn't leave her cell, but not because she didn't want to. The court just handled everything, and I think without her present. But they pushed her trial out until May. This was her own lawyer's request to move it out 3 dockets, which I guess 3 dockets is May. So that got pushed out yesterday. In Utah, we've got a suspect by the name of Nicholas Alaharvardian, also known as Nicholas Rosie, but possibly also known as Arthur Knight. This gentleman is charged with some essay-related crimes. Fled the country, went to Scotland, right? We extradited him back. And when he comes back and he's sitting in jail and appearing before the judge via Zoom, he has developed a British accent, a new name, and a new birthday. And he refuses to admit who he is. And so he's trying to speak with what I can only describe as a terrible British accent, pretending to be someone he is not, with a birthday he does not have. What a piece of work. What a piece of work. So that is just crazy. Anyway, so Mr. Arthur Knight, as he goes by, he almost convinced the judge. The judge is like, I think we've got the wrong person for the hearing. The birthday doesn't match up. The name doesn't match up. And the bailiff's like, yeah, he's been calling himself that since he got here. We have him under a different name. It's absolutely hilarious. We might have to keep an eye on that one. Let's see. Alex Murdaugh was in court in South Carolina yesterday. His lawyers were, I would say in vain, desperately attempting to convince the judge that the evidence that they had, which was not relevant, was actually relevant, and that the judge should listen to every bit of it and flesh it out in its entirety. Apparently, no, jurors who did not deliberate don't get to say what helps them reach their conclusion. So that was interesting. That was fantastic. Lots of stuff happened there in South Carolina. Let's see, press conference yesterday about the Long Island serial killer, where officials announced the victim that was formerly known as Fire Island Jane Doe has been identified using DNA analysis as Karen Vergata. The breaking news there. The Treehouse murder, which we were watching here, had what possibly could have been the absolute shortest deliberation time for a jury that I've ever seen, which was about 30 minutes of jury day before they ran out of witnesses for the day and sent the jury back home. So you guys saw that. It's going to be a much longer day today, and oh my goodness, it's going to be spicy. It's going to start off spicy. We have some great witnesses today. So that happened at the Treehouse murder trial. Let's see, if you've been following Taking Care of Maya, Judge Carroll published 4 orders yesterday relating to that trial and pretty much shut down much of Jay Hatch's complaints.
How does he do that?
So he's got those 4 orders. He also granted some requests for remittitor to the tune of about $50 million, which is no small amount. That's a huge reduction. But he did that and cited everything, and it looks great. Also, in the same trial, attorney Greg Anderson, he put in a full day of work,
lunch, Judge?
just appearing as guests on YouTube because he was with Dr. Joe Corcoran for like 3 hours, and then he spent the rest of the night with Rob from Law and Lumber. So if you missed either of those, you need to go back and watch them both in their entirety.
Somebody just sent me a video of roaches fighting. I don't know who won.
Let's see. It's going to be, let's see, I missed a buffer sound. Let's see what's up. GoPro cam frozen. Why does it freeze in the morning? Okay, I'm just going to turn it off and see if it reboots. All right. Yes, there's something new on the Maya, and it's sealed. Greeners, it's sealed. It's from it's from the prosecution, and I believe it probably has to do with the setback. And by the setback, we're talking about the settlement that was received in relation to Sally Smith. Well, look, camera's coming back. Let's watch it. Let's watch it appear live here. Here we go. Wait for it. Spinny, spinny. Not sponsored by GoPro. And wait for it. Wait for it. Yes, we're back in business. All right. So let's see. So that happened. There's been so much going on, and there's more. There's more. There's other court cases out there.
Somebody just sent me a video of roaches fighting. I don't know who won.
I don't know who won. There's more going on there that we haven't even scraped the surface of. We've got incredible cases and incredible content creators that are covering events all over the place that we have not even touched. Oh man, it is a good time to be an addict, a true crime addict especially. All right, let's see. Wonder if everyone will be on time this morning. I hope so. We've got our feet out of the courtron right now. We're waiting for some action on that front, and we'll take that as soon as it happens. But oops, let's go there. That's ready. Okay. Let's turn that on, this off, reset that, reset this. Okay. Let's see. Anything else we're missing? Good morning, Vietnam. Yes, hump day. It's great. I've had a large, I mean large. I wish I could show you. I had a Starbucks wide bottom Stanley mug full of hot chocolate this morning. So my sugar intake is probably on the extreme level, which means I will A, probably crash in the near future, and B, my heart is racing like 100 miles an hour right now. Sugar does that to me. So hot chocolate on an empty stomach, never a good idea for me, but I did it anyway, and here we are, and we get to deal with the results. All right, something about the way Courtney Meek is looking in the shadows is a little creepy. Speaking of Courtney, I'm sorry that you reminded me of this, Courtney. Thank you. It's good to be here. There's another Courtney in the news, Courtney Clenny, OnlyFans. I believe she has a hearing today that's going forward. Let's see, Melissa, Stephen's Hot Cocoa comes today. Oh, man. Will he be late again? I don't think he'll be late. I don't think he has a reason to be late. He's only been late with a reason, and realize the first time he was late, both the prosecution and defense were late because they both got the time wrong, meaning the judge probably wasn't very clear. The second time he was late, he had a reason. The judge asked him to get a note from the doctor. The doctor wasn't open over the weekend, and it's funny. Let's see. Miss Jack says, this is the first trial I haven't liked on your channel, Recovery Addict. Can't wait until this one's finished. Well, Ms. Jackson, this court case is short. By short, I mean we probably will have the plaintiff resting their case Thursday-ish. Okay, depends on cross-examination, and it's going to be interesting. But Thursday-ish it's going to rest, and I don't think the defendant has a long defense case as far as witnesses go. So I know they've slated out to like the 2nd of February for this case. I don't see it going beyond middle next week. I just can't see that right here. So who's covering the OnlyFans trial? I don't know, Melissa. I know it presents a lot of challenges just for the cameraman. It's a difficult case to cover because the evidence is basically not YouTube approved. And it may even get to the point that the description of the evidence could violate some of YouTube's terms of service. You just don't know. I don't know who's going to risk that. Did Sarah Boone go to court yesterday? Not that I saw, P. Will, for real. I saw the court handled the motion, but it was over Zoom, and I couldn't really see the courtroom. It was crazy. Okay, we've got action in court right now. Oh, let's see. Aren't going to cover Petito. There's so much to cover, Melissa. I am torn. Petito, that's an interesting case as well. Man, there's a ton, and I've got texts from like 10 other people asking about other cases as well. We'll keep an open mind. Some of these we can go back and cover later, but yeah, and through all of this, you guys are all surviving through sub-zero freezing temperatures across the nation. This morning, our cat bowl water dish was frozen solid. That for us is cold. We're in North Carolina, so
Circuit of the State of Florida is now in session. The Honorable Mark H. Jones, Judge presides.
Good morning. Please
Good morning, Judge.
You know what Mark Jones says? Just keep my name out of your mouth. Oh wait, that's Mike Jones. Sorry.
State versus Franklin Tucker.
He's not there.
17 CF 841.
He's not there.
I see the prosecutors are here, but the defense table is empty. So, any news that you've...
No, sir. Our witness is here in the waiting room, ready to go this morning.
Okay. Well, we haven't received any phone call this morning, so...
This is 3 times. His bail's going to be revoked. I don't know what else to say.
The pattern appears to be continuing, despite my admonitions. So we can't very well get started at this point. So we will step down and await word of his arrival at some point in time. It may be necessary to issue a capias. I mean, if he's not at the appointed place at the time prescribed within fairly large parameters, have to take the next step. Don't really want to do that. Well, here Mr. Tucker's graced us with his appearance. I was just talking about the pattern repeating itself. If I didn't know better, I'd swear you were doing it intentionally, sir.
Your Honor, if I didn't know better, I swear the universe hates me. No, I was going to be on time today, and I get into my Lyft ride. The lady doesn't speak English. I tell her to go over to the courthouse, drop me off in the front. She couldn't quite get it and dropped me off back here. So it took me a little bit longer than normal. And yesterday, like I said, I
We're not going to go back into yesterday's situation. So here you are,
yes,
avoiding any issuance of a capias or any of those.
The capias warrant is issued in connection with failure to appear.
Let me see. Do we have jurors in the jury room?
Yes, we do.
All 14 of them?
Yes. Excuse me, Your Honor. Is there any way we could address a few housekeeping issues beforehand?
Well, it depends on what they are, sir. What is it that you'd like me to address?
When we did the hearing on the motion in limine, there were a couple things that I addressed in my motion, and we addressed at the hearing. And I'm thinking they're becoming a problem at this point. I noticed that the prosecution has gone from calling me Mr. Tucker to the defendant constantly at this point, which again can be prejudicial. You know, and
There's nothing wrong with them calling you the defendant, sir.
I understand.
You are the defendant.
I am.
Either one of those are interchangeable. They're not obliged to use either term. So
well, I mean, except for it does kind of put an image into the jury's head, I would imagine.
Well, the accurate image. You are charged with these crimes. You are the defendant, and there is absolutely nothing untoward about them referring to you in that position. So as much as you may not like it, that's not a problem.
Okay. Well, again, I guess that's something I'll have to debate later. The thing is, Your Honor, not only is that an issue, I know when I did that motion in limine and we had the hearing, the court also assured me that, my ignorance as far as, representing myself and being an attorney, not being an attorney actually, was not going to become a constant thing for the jury. That it wasn't going to be used as prejudicial.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And it has become a constant thing, I think.
Well, only because you've demonstrated it. But I have taken extreme measures, which has not been difficult, not to point any errors out in front of the jury. Yes, when the jury's not here, I have, when I felt it a factor, to mention that fact. But in terms of the jury present, you cannot give me, or I would like you to give me one instance where there's been one reference to your lack of a legal license as having been brought up.
About the subtleties of the lawyers. The lawyers are much more subtle, and because of their experience.
Well, sir, when you see something objectionable, please object, and I will make a ruling. But I honestly, at this point, cannot
Your Honor, I wasn't actually
unearth something in my mind that I can recall where the prosecutors have disparaged you because you're not a lawyer.
Well, Your Honor, and I wasn't bringing this up as a, I wasn't looking for an order or anything like that. I was just trying to make the court aware of, how I'm feeling and what I've seen, and if Your Honor, just to make you aware, that's all it was. If I wanted to, make it an issue, I would have filed something or, something like that. I'm not trying to make anything an issue. I'm just trying to make the court aware. That's all.
Okay. Well, you have, and I have been, and like I said, if there's something that you believe is contrary to one of these points, then you certainly can make an objection and approach the bench and be heard as to the merits.
Okay, thank you. I just, like I said, just wanted to make you aware of how I was thinking and what I was thinking.
Okay. So we have your next witness standing by.
Yes, sir, we do.
Who would that be?
Travis Johnson.
All right. Bring the jury in, please.
Travis Johnson. This is going to be an interesting one. Very interesting. Mr. Tucker was on live with Court TV last night. Did an interview with both he and his wife were live with Court TV last night. Interesting. I'm not a big fan of, especially when you've got a pro se defendant, of interviewing the defendant during court. He has his mind and his time full, and getting him to focus and asking him questions about other things, and all that's doing is distracting. I was not a big fan of it. But I think he deserves to stay in court. He's chosen to represent himself. I think that's a poor decision. There's very little he could do to change my mind here. Even if he wins, I still think it's a poor decision. But yeah. So if he appears unprepared today, you've got to look at that Court TV interview and say, could he have spent that time better?
All jurors present in court.
Thank you. Please be seated, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Good morning. Welcome back to Courtroom B in the Freeman Justice Center. It's good to see you all here. Thank you for being on time. This is the case of the state of Florida versus Franklin Tucker, 17 CF 841. And where we left off when we were last in session was the presentation of the state's case in chief. And we're going to pick up where we left off. So, State, do you have your next witness to call?
Yes, sir, we do. The state calls Travis Johnson.
As Travis Johnson comes in, just be mindful, to my knowledge, to this point, the only evidence we've heard that points the finger at Mr. Tucker is defendants, people who were, co-conspirators or involved in this crime, saying that he is involved. That's all I have seen so far.
Okay, sir, if you'd please come through the gate.
Ooh, Travis
right up
in shorts.
in front of the witness stand there.
In Bermuda shorts.
That's good, right there. Turn, face the clerk, raise your right hand. No, the
Over
clerk.
there,
Travis.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you will give in the cause now in hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
All right, have a seat on the witness stand.
We are in Key West, guys, and I don't know how else to describe that other than to show you those witnesses.
Please speak up loud and clearly so everyone is able to hear you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can
Thank
proceed.
you, Judge. Thank you. Good morning, Travis.
Good morning.
Could you state your full name for the record, please?
John Travis Johnson.
And Travis, how old are you?
I'm 46 years old.
And do you live here in Key West?
I do.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a painter, but I'm a disabled veteran at the moment.
All right. You were a veteran?
Yes, sir.
When did you do your military service?
From 2004 to 2007.
Where were you stationed?
Multiple places, mostly in Fort Benning.
Did you go overseas?
I did, twice.
Where'd you go?
Kosovo and Afghanistan.
I'm sorry, sir?
Kosovo and Afghanistan.
Okay. And Travis, as we go through the morning, I just would ask you, try to speak slowly and into the mic so we have a good record of what you're saying, okay?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. Are you nervous this morning?
A little, yes.
Okay, if you need some water or anything, just let us know, all right?
Yes, sir.
Now, Travis, I want to take the jury back. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Mesquite, Texas, which is a little suburb outside of Dallas, Texas. I spent most of my life there. I was born in Chilliwack, British Columbia, though. I was born in Canada. Don't have much recollection of that.
Okay.
But I left home around 17. I've traveled multiple places and joined the military around 26.
All right. And you did your stint in the military from what years again?
From 2004 to 2007.
2004 to 7. Mm-hmm. So in 2007, when you got out of the military, where did you locate yourself?
I ended up in South Carolina for a little while, back into Dallas. I think roughly around 2010, I ended up in treatment for PTSD and some alcoholism and some other things.
Okay. Do you have addiction issues?
I do.
And is it just alcohol?
No, it's not.
What other kind of addiction do you have?
For the longest time, I had a methamphetamine addiction, and also I smoke cigarettes, and I smoke marijuana, and I drink alcohol, of course.
All right, fair enough. Now, at some point during your travels, did you make your way to the Florida Keys?
I did.
Okay, and when was that?
It was roughly 2016. In 2015, I did end up in a national PTSD program in the Miami VA. That's what gave me the attraction, really, for Florida. So after I was finished with that in 2016, I got lucky and got hooked up with a woman that wanted to start a snuba franchise down here, which is like a snorkel scuba.
It's called Snuba?
Snuba, yeah, that's what it's called.
All right.
And that was my plan, was to come down here in 2016 and start a business with her, because I had been awarded 100%. I'm now basically semi-retired. So this was my place of
And did you, in fact, make your way down here then?
I did.
And were you along with her?
I was.
What was her name?
Her name was Crystal Barrett.
Okay. And this was 2016, you said, right?
Yes, roughly August of 2016.
And where did, when you guys got to the Keys, where did you set up?
I landed in Big Coppet. It was, I think it's about 10 miles outside of town. It didn't last very long. Due to unforeseen circumstances, our relationship dissolved, and I ended up on the streets. I ended up having to find another place of residence and a different venture, and that's what I did. So I ended up on Smathers Beach for about a month.
Living on the beach?
Living on the beach. And this is where I made friends with an individual by the name of David Gross. Okay. And this was he became a pretty close friend. Helped me stay safe, stay off out of jail, and.
Now let me ask you, Travis. This is somebody you met while you were living on the beach.
This is somebody I met living on the beach.
So you were essentially homeless at that point.
Yes, I was.
Living on the beach.
Yes, sir.
All right. And you befriended this man named David Gross.
Yes.
And did David Gross also live on the beach?
He did.
All right. And at some point, did David Gross find another place to live?
He did. I met a female, a romantic interest in roughly September of 2016, right after I'd got off of the beach when I was no longer homeless. And we had our life together for almost a year. I left Key West in June of 2017 with her to go stay in her house and get it ready to be sold. And then we were going to snowbird back down here and start over again at the end of the summer.
So let me just make sure I understand correctly, sir. So you met this new woman.
Yes.
And you guys relocated. You left the Keys.
We did.
And where'd you go?
We went to Detroit.
And why did you go to Detroit?
This is where her home was.
And did you live with her in Detroit?
Yes.
And how long were you in Detroit with her?
Just the summer, 3 months.
And this is
roughly 4.
And this is the summer of what? What year are we in now?
2017.
Okay. So the summer of 2017, you're in Michigan with her.
Yes.
And at some point during that summer, what happens?
Well, at the end of the summer, when season is supposed to start back up again, Hurricane Irma hit. It was rather devastating, and some friends of ours' home was destroyed. It kind of changed our plans of coming back down here together, and I made the decision to come back down here alone and to help some friends rebuild their home. And I roughly came back here. It was October 28th or 29th. It was the end of Fantasy Fest of 2017.
End of Fantasy Fest of 2017.
Careful how
right?
you say that.
Yes.
You came back down to the Keys.
Yes.
How'd you get here?
I drove.
And what did you drive?
I drove my 2016 Dodge 1500 pickup truck.
What color's your truck?
It's a dark blue. It almost looks black, but it's a pearlescent blue.
Okay. And you drove that down here to the Keys?
I did.
And this is after the hurricane?
Yes, it was.
Were you, you just told the jury you came down here to help a friend rebuild their home?
Yes.
When you got to the Keys, did you make contact with that friend?
No, I did not.
Why not?
Phones were displayed. The phone services weren't that great down here. It was a destruction zone. It was like a war zone down here. So it was not real easy to locate him. I didn't immediately locate him, but I did locate my friend David Gross.
And this is the friend who you had met the summer before?
Yeah, this is the individual that I met on the beach.
Okay. So you hooked up again with David Gross?
Yes.
All right. And take us from there. What did you and David Gross do at that point?
Well, I coincidentally ran back into him at the beach, but he wasn't living on the beach. He had acquired a residence over in Stock Island known as the Warehouse. It was not really zoned for residential, but it was home for him. And it was also a place for me to, I guess you could say, reconnoiter, get my stuff together to figure out what I was going to do from that point.
Did he invite you to come there and stay?
He did.
Now, you said the residence was known as the Warehouse.
Yes.
And that's in Stock Island?
Yes, sir.
By the way, Travis, everything you're testifying to today, did that happen here in Monroe County?
Yes, it did.
Okay. Now, you said David invited you to come and stay at the Warehouse. Is that right?
Yes.
And describe for the jury, if you can, this place that you're referring to as the Warehouse. Is it an apartment?
No, it wasn't really an apartment. It was more of a business establishment with, I guess you could say, a residence built into it. It was a storage facility, a garage, and once you went inside, there was a set of steps that went upstairs and kind of laid out to a little dining room with 3 offset rooms to the side. And then below that was another garage, and at the very back of it was another apartment complex.
Did it have running water?
Yes.
Did it have bathroom facilities?
No.
Did it have electricity?
No.
And so this is not a designated apartment building, is that fair to say?
No, and it had suffered extensive damage from the hurricane as well.
So it's just, I guess,
a flop house.
Flop house, for lack of a better word?
Yes, sir.
Now, when David invited you to come and stay there, was it just you and he staying there?
No.
How many other people were staying there?
Quite a few. There was 2 other couples and a bunch of random people that just kept coming and going.
All right. And did you decide to take him up on his offer to go and stay there?
I did.
And this would have been when? Just so we're keeping track of on the calendar. Where, about what time? Was this still at the end of October?
No, it's around November 3rd or 4th now. I believe a few days had transpired. Yeah, it was Fantasy Fest was over, and it was into November now.
Okay. And now you're staying at this warehouse. What's your plan at that point, Travis?
Text me, Aunt Toots.
I didn't really have much of a plan at this point. It was I was in limbo. I was in party mode now. I couldn't find the people I was looking for. I found a buddy of mine that I hadn't seen in a while, and so I had a lot of money in my pocket.
You had a lot of money in your pocket?
I did.
Where was the money from?
It was from number one, I'm a disabled veteran, so I received a rather healthy sum of money each month. And I had saved money from working in town, and Shayla was rather well off herself. So
now you said
I was not hurting.
I'm sorry, I cut you off. I didn't mean to.
I was not hurting financially at that point, no.
Okay, so you had money.
Yes.
And I guess your original intention in coming to Key West wasn't panning out. Is that fair to say?
No, it was not.
So you had just said to the jury that you were kind of going into party mode.
Yes.
What does party mode mean for you?
Drinking and smoking and...
Smoking what?
Smoking pot and smoking anything I could get my hands on at this point. I was in full, I guess you could say, relapse. I was back in my addiction.
Had you been clean and sober prior to coming back to Key West?
Yes, I had.
So now you're back in full party mode. Are you partying with David Gross?
I am.
Are you partying with anybody else in that warehouse?
Yeah, every now and again, Rory Wilson would come upstairs, and I guess to get away from his girlfriend, and he would hang out with us for a little while. I didn't really get too personal with him at this point. Wasn't real concerned with making friends at this point. I was just trying to have fun.
So you said this man that you became acquainted with was named Rory Wilson?
Yes.
And was he also staying at the warehouse?
He was not staying in the apartment that I was in. He was in the downstairs apartment that was at the back of the warehouse facility.
Okay. But still in the same building?
Just in the same building, yes.
Sorry, may I show you the judge may approach the witness?
Yes, you may approach the witness.
Thank you, Judge. Having already shown it to defense counsel, Travis, I'm going to show you what's been previously marked as M as in Mike for identification. Do you recognize that photo?
I do.
And who is that in the photo?
That is Rory Wilson.
Is that how he appeared to you when you knew him?
Yes.
Judge, at this time I seek to move in what's been previously marked as M.
Is there any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Admit the state's next in order being
11.
Thank you, Madam. Okay, so this man that you became known to you as Roy Wilson, is that right?
Yes.
Living downstairs?
Yes.
Okay. And you said he'd come upstairs every once in a while to hang out with you, is that right?
Well, not specifically with me, because I didn't know him. He did with David, though, because they were neighbors.
Did Roy have a street name or a nickname?
Detroit.
Okay. Did Dave have a nickname?
He did.
What was his nickname?
Detroit.
So you had 2 Detroits there?
Yes.
All right. So you come upstairs and through his communications with David, did you become acquainted with Roy Wilson?
Yes.
Did you guys ever party together?
Yes.
Smoke dope together?
Yes.
Drink together?
Yes.
Did you guys ever, what other things did you do for entertainment? Did you guys play cards or anything?
Dominoes.
Dominoes?
Yes.
Roy Wilson used to play?
Yes.
Now, you're there with David, right, living upstairs, and you become acquainted with this Roy Wilson, correct?
Yes.
Did you ever become acquainted with someone who became known to you as Tyrone Tucker?
Not at this moment, no.
All right. So, how long are you staying at the warehouse now? You're just kind of hanging out there?
I think I'd been there for roughly 5 days now. I believe the date was November 8th because it sticks in my mind because the police officers, Monroe County Sheriff's Department, at this date came into the residence.
They came to the warehouse?
They came to the warehouse.
Were you there when they came?
I was.
And was David Gross there?
He was.
And what about Roy Wilson? Was he there?
He was not.
So when the police officers came, was it daytime or nighttime?
It was daytime. It was early in the morning.
And what did they do when they came to the house that day?
Well, I was sitting at the dining room table watching a movie on my phone. It was, like I said, it was rather early. It was around 9 o'clock. And the stairwell where I was sitting, the stairwell that goes down to the front entrance, I look over and there's 2 police officers walking up. I didn't know what was going on. I looked at them and I said, "Excuse me, can I help you?" And they basically just told me to be quiet. They were looking for somebody. They came into the residence, and I had been smoking pot that morning. I had a glass pipe sitting in front of me. And as they said what they were looking for somebody, I reached down and grabbed it, put it in my pocket. They didn't like that too much. They stopped me immediately, told me to put my hands back on the table, and arrested me for paraphernalia at that point, and proceeded to arrest everybody else that was in the house as well, because everybody was on probation that was in there.
All right. Did they take you into the station?
They did.
All right. And did you go to jail that night or that day?
I did.
And how long were you in jail then on that situation?
For 6 days.
And then at some point you were released?
I was.
Okay. And did you, once you got released, where'd you go?
I went back to my truck. I went back to the warehouse.
Where was your truck while you were in jail?
Parked out in front of the warehouse.
All right. And when you got out of jail, you said you went back to the warehouse?
Yes.
And was your truck still there?
It was.
Was there anything done or damaged to your truck when you got back?
Yes, there was.
Let's tell the jury about that. What did you discover?
When I got back, like I said, this is a brand new truck. I was very proud of it. It was pristine. And the whole passenger side of my truck had been knifed or keyed or scraped. It looked like somebody just raked it from bumper to bumper, from as far as the paint was the top of the vehicle down to the bottom of the vehicle, all the way to the back of it. Thousands of dollars worth of damage. My tools were stolen. Almost every single piece of construction hardware that I brought was gone.
Where had those tools been?
Some of them were upstairs in the apartment, and some of them were downstairs in the bed of my truck.
What about your personal things, like your clothes and things like that?
They were upstairs as well. I had a foot locker, a big trunk, probably about 3.5 by 2.5 by 18, maybe 20 inches deep. And this was where my personal stuff was. And this was inside of the residence.
And the foot locker was inside the residence?
Yes.
Not in your truck?
No.
Is it something you had unpacked into the residence when you decided to stay there?
Yes.
Did you take it upstairs to where you were staying?
Yes.
And when you got back from jail 6 days later, was it still there?
It was, but nothing that was in it was of any value was still in it.
Okay. Now, when you came back from jail, was Roy Wilson there?
Yes.
All right. And he was the guy living downstairs, right?
Yes.
What about David Gross? Was he there when you got out?
No.
What happened to him?
He was in jail for probation violation.
All right. Did you return to that upstairs unit to I guess, to continue living there?
To continue to figure out what I was going to do, yes.
And do you remember the date you got out of jail?
Yes, November 14th.
November 14th, and this is of 2017?
Yes.
All right, so now we're at November 14th of 2017. And you're out of jail now, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes.
Do you make contact again with Roy Wilson?
I do.
And at that point, do you become acquainted with somebody known as Tyrone Tucker?
I do.
And how did that come about?
They were both standing on the front porch whenever I arrived and began to notice this, I guess you could call it vandalism to my truck, and realized that my tools were gone. And this whole time, Mr. Wilson is stating that he's looking out for me. He collected some of my stuff so the crackheads didn't get to it. I wasn't real impressed with this, and I called the police. Number one, I needed to file a report on my truck. I needed to get my insurance going. So I called the police to come back and do an investigation. And unfortunately, it was the same individuals that had arrested me.
Same police that arrested you came out to take the report?
Yes.
Oh, no.
And did you file that report?
I did. They told me, I filed what I could with them, but they told me that I would be in contact with a a detective would be in contact with me soon.
All right. Now, you said that Roy Wilson was standing on the front porch with another man.
Yes.
That man became known to you as Tyrone Tucker?
Yes.
Is that the first time you met him?
Yes.
Take a look around the courtroom, Travis, if you would, please. Do you see that man sitting in here today?
I do.
Can you identify where you see him sitting?
Yes, he's sitting right there.
It's just so our record is clear that you are pointing to the defendant sitting at the defense table.
Yes, sir.
All right. Is that the man that became known to you as Tyrone Tucker?
Yes, sir.
And he was standing with Roy Wilson that day?
Yes.
And did you have like a formal introduction to him, or is it just he was there, you were there, and you started hanging out?
Well, one of the things that kind of stuck in my mind is that Mr. Wilson referred to him as the only white man in the Keys named Tyrone.
Okay, so that was kind of your introduction to him?
Yes.
And did you continue partying when you got out of jail?
I did the best I could, yes. I wanted to stay comfortable and as, which is a retarded term, but as clear-headed as possible.
Understood.
And yeah, I just tried to return as business as normal. I was told not to leave by the police officers due to now a suspended driver's license. I'm out on bond. I have an investigation, open investigation on my truck. So for lack of, a better place to go, I had to stay there.
And by staying there, did you continue with your partying?
Of course.
Smoking?
Yes.
Drinking?
Yes.
Playing dominoes?
Yes.
Now, who were you hanging out with now? David Grace is gone, right?
Yes.
So who are your partner, or who are your pals, I guess, for lack of a better phrase?
Mr. Tucker and Mr. Wilson.
All right. Do the three of you hang out together?
Yes.
Drinking together?
Yes.
Smoking dope together?
Yes.
Again, what kind of drugs did you guys smoke together?
We were smoking Molly. We were smoking crack cocaine,
Bingo
pot,
on Molly,
cigarettes, drinking alcohol, beer.
Now, who supplied these drugs? Like, where did they come from?
Me for the longest time. I mean, me for the next 3 days. Yes.
Your money?
Yes.
So you're supplying the dope, and you and these new friends of yours are reaping the benefits of it?
Yes.
So that goes on for a couple of days?
Yes.
All right. Travis, at some point, does the money run out, or does your money run out?
It did.
All right. Does that mean that the dope ran out?
Yes, it does.
Was Tucker or Wilson, were they working at that time?
No.
Were they staying in that warehouse?
Yes.
I mean, for all intent and purposes, living there as well?
Yes.
All right. Wilson, you said it was living downstairs. Is that right?
Yes.
Where was Tucker living?
He was staying upstairs in the bedroom next door to where David Gross's bedroom was.
And are you staying upstairs as well?
Yes.
So do you have an opportunity to spend a lot of time with Tucker?
I did have the opportunity, but we didn't spend every waking moment with each other. Of course not. That wasn't practical.
But you're both living upstairs, right?
Yes.
Do you see him a lot?
Yes.
At some point you said the part of the drugs or your money ran out, right?
Yes.
Did Tucker or Wilson have money to contribute to the continued partying?
No.
All right. At some point, does the need arise for you guys to figure out how to get more dope?
Yes.
And more money?
Yes.
All right, tell us about that. How did that come about?
I guess this was November 17th now. We had spent most of the day apart, me at the beach. I don't know what Wilson and Tucker were doing, but I would say around 5:30ish, 6 o'clock, I went back to the warehouse. And
you'd spent the day at the beach?
Yes.
All right. And were they at the beach with you?
No, I was by myself.
All right.
And I went back to the apartment, and Tucker was there. Wilson was not. I don't know what time it was, but it wasn't dark yet. And Wilson shows back up, rather excited.
Why was he excited?
Because he had just heard that someone down the street had, somebody at Burger King, this is what I remember specifically, that somebody at Burger King had just told him that somebody had a large amount of money and cocaine, and told him where it was and that he wanted to go get it.
And when he told you this, did he tell you this while you were at the warehouse?
Yes.
And where in the warehouse did he tell you this? Were you guys upstairs, downstairs?
Upstairs.
So he came upstairs?
Yes.
Where was Tucker there when Wilson made this announcement?
Yes.
And where was Tucker?
Sitting at the dining room table with me.
So the three of you are upstairs now?
Yes.
And Wilson brings this news to the warehouse?
Yes.
Did he share with you and Tucker where this location was that had the dope and the drugs? I'm sorry, the drugs and the money.
The Treehouse. That was the only reference that he'd made.
All right. Were you familiar with something called the Treehouse?
No, I wasn't.
All right. You were not familiar with it?
No.
Did you become familiar with it?
Only after this scenario.
All right. And once Wilson identified, may I have that mark, please, Violet? Thank you. Once Wilson identified this location, did you guys, or did you weren't familiar with it, right?
No.
So how did you become familiar with it?
By going over and looking at it, by driving by it and surveying it.
All right. Did you guys do that at that moment in time?
I don't know if it was at that moment in time. The sun had gone down. It was dark at this point. The first trip that we went over there, it was dark.
It was dark?
Yes.
So did this time I approach the witness?
Yes.
So we missed some hearsay objections there.
Marked as 10 is in November. Take a look at that photo, Travis. Do you recognize it?
I don't recognize the photo, but that's a daylight picture of the Treehouse area. I've never been in that area, so I don't recognize that per se, no.
Fair enough, but do you recognize the structure?
Yes.
And what is that?
The Treehouse.
Okay, is that how it appeared to you back in 2017?
No, again, like I said, I've never seen it in the daylight before. I did not know.
You saw it at nighttime?
Yes, I've only seen it.
Other than the fact it's a daylight picture, is that the structure known to you as the Treehouse?
Yes.
Subject seeking to move in was previously marked as November?
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Admit as next in order for the state being what, 12?
Yes.
Okay, Travis, let's tell the jury what they see in this photograph.
I see a clump of trees and a wood structure, and looks like a large amount of trash collected around it, maybe even a generator.
Now, can you see the structure buried in the trees?
Not very well.
Is it pretty much hidden from view?
Yes.
And the first time you ever heard about this place is when Wilson told you guys about it. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So he tells you about it, and you've never heard of it before. So you said you guys did a drive-by or a drive-over. Is that fair?
Yes.
How did you guys get over there?
My truck.
You drove?
Yes, sir.
Did they ride with you?
Yes, sir.
And when I say they, who do I mean?
Wilson and Tucker.
Wilson and this defendant sitting here?
Yes.
So they jump in the truck with you?
Yes.
Do you drive over there?
Yes.
And do you drive by this structure known as the Treehouse?
Yes.
Does Wilson identify that as the location that he got information on?
Yes.
Do you stop at that time or do you just drive by?
I just drove by.
Could you see anybody at that structure at that time?
No, sir.
Any human beings walking around or anything?
No, sir.
Were there any cars in front of it?
No, not at this point.
Okay. Daytime or nighttime at this point?
This is nighttime.
So you guys do, I guess what you call, do you stop or do you continue driving?
I continue to drive.
And you do this once around, I guess?
This is the once around, yes. Before we went back to the apartment.
Well, that was my next question. After you did the once around, where did you go?
Back to the apartment.
And when you say the apartment, you mean the warehouse?
The warehouse, correct.
Okay, and what's the purpose in going back to the warehouse at this point?
At this point, for them to change clothes and to, I guess, put on darker clothes and go back.
Now, had a plan been crafted or hatched as to what you guys were going to be doing?
A rudimentary plan. I wouldn't say like a plan had been hacked. It was more or less Wilson wanted to go get this lick because he had a baby on the way and he needed the money to pay his cell phone bill.
And I'm going to stop you right there, Travis. I don't mean to interrupt, but you said a lick.
Yes.
For the jury's benefit, what does a lick mean in your vernacular?
Well, in the slang terms, it's a come up. It's a robbery or a way for someone to make some money illegitimately.
So it's a lick?
It's a lick, yeah. It's called hitting a lick.
And so Wilson wants to do this lick and get the money.
Yes.
And is this discussion had between the three of you?
Yes.
And tell us about that discussion. Like what you said, Wilson wanted to do this. What was he saying?
He wasn't really saying much. He just was adamant that we go do this.
All right. Was this defendant involved in that discussion?
Somewhat, yes.
Was he there when Wilson was talking?
Yes.
All right. And did they identify what your role was going to be?
Just to drive, yeah.
And you say just to drive. How did that come about? What did they say to you?
You're going to drive us over there.
In your truck?
Yes.
All right. Did you agree to drive him over there?
I did.
And what was going to be your benefit? Did they ever give you one?
Yes, some gas money for my truck.
And that's what they told you you'd get out of it?
Yes.
When the three of you had this conversation, were there any details about how this was going to play out?
No, sir.
You know, any details about who would go in, who would stay in the car, anything like that?
No. No, I mean, obviously I was going to stay in the vehicle. It's my truck. You know, I'm not going to just let somebody I don't know drive my truck.
So was there any discussion about you going inside?
No.
Was there a discussion about Tucker and Wilson going inside?
It wasn't really a discussion. It was just a known fact that this wasn't something that was discussed. Those two were friends. I was not their buddy. I was an outsider, you know.
But you did agree to drive him over there?
I did.
So after you do the once around on the Treehouse, you came back to the warehouse, you said?
Yes.
And when you came back to the warehouse, what did you guys get out of the truck?
Yes, I stopped out front and they got out and went inside.
And when you say they, you mean?
Tucker and Wilson.
Tucker and Wilson. Did you stay in the truck?
I did.
And what was their purpose in going back inside the warehouse?
Darker clothes, mask, weapons.
And how long would you say they were in the warehouse until they came out?
Maybe 5-10 minutes.
And where were you during that time?
In my truck.
Waiting for them?
Yes.
Now you said about 5 or 10 minutes, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And they came back out eventually?
Yes.
Had they changed clothes?
Yes.
What were they wearing now?
Mr. Wilson was wearing all black, long sleeve shirt and gym shorts, black gym shorts, and a mask. And Tucker was wearing long pants, long shirt, and a mask. And both were carrying weapons.
Okay, so let's break it down. What color was the clothing they were wearing?
Black.
And let's take Wilson first. You said Wilson had on dark clothing?
Yes.
Long pants or short pants?
Shorts.
And dark shirt as well?
Yes.
And you said he had a mask?
Yes.
What kind of a mask? Can you describe it for the jury?
A demon mask. That's just the most horrible, evil-looking demon mask that you could basically describe. It was horrible.
And you say he was wearing the mask. How was he wearing it?
On top of his head, it had like a little chin strap, and he was wearing it like you would, like a birthday mask or something like that. One of those little birthday hats, just perched on top of his head.
Pulled down in front of his face?
No, it was just sitting on top of his head like a hat, with the strap underneath his chin.
All right. Judge, I'm sure defense counsel is the Marcus Lima.
I'm going to assume it's in there. I'm going to assume it's in there.
Judge, at this time I approach?
Yes.
So we're about to see the mask.
Go ahead and open up the bag and take a look in there. Tell me if you recognize that.
It's time to glove up. Interestingly, the bag was already opened.
Just leave it in there.
Just leave it. Okay. Yeah, that's it.
Let's take a look at it while it's in the bag. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Do you recognize it?
I do
What do
recognize
you
it.
recognize it as?
The demon mask.
Demon mask.
Yep.
Is that the mask that Wilson was wearing when he came out of the warehouse?
Yes, it is.
Any question about it?
No,
Does that mask appear now as it did to you when you saw it on top of his head that day?
it does.
So at this time I seek to move in with the previously marked as Lima.
Is there any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Admit states L for identification into evidence and states 13.
Yes.
Permission to publish, Judge?
Yes.
All right, so
Here, now we get to see
you
it.
described this demon mask, right?
Yes,
Is that it?
that is it.
And that's the mask that Wilson, you said Wilson had on, right?
Yes, correct.
He just had that
Yes.
kicking around in his apartment in the warehouse.
He had this on his head when he came out of the warehouse.
Yes.
And Wilson's the one with the picture we saw a little bit earlier, the African American man. Is that
Yes,
right?
correct.
Did he have a weapon when he came out of the warehouse?
He did.
What kind of weapon did he have?
He had a pipe
And how do you know he had a pipe?
because it was in his right hand.
All right. So he comes out of the warehouse wearing this on top of his head and a pipe in his hand. Is that right?
Yes.
And when he walked over to your truck, did he get in your truck?
Yes, he did. He got into the front passenger side.
He gets in the front. Now, let's talk about this defendant, Tucker, Tyrone Tucker. Did he come out of the warehouse as well?
He did.
Describe his clothing, if you would, please.
He's wearing long black pants, boots, and a long sleeve black shirt. And a mask.
I'm sorry?
And a mask.
And describe for the jury, if you can, the mask that he was wearing.
It's considered like a neck gaiter or a neck buff. It's just like a tube of fabric that you pull down over your head, and it stretches up around a mask. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them, but they use them a lot down here in fishing to, I guess, block the sun. And it said Jägermeister all over it.
It said a neck gaiter that said Jägermeister.
Yes.
Jägermeister.
Now, did he have it pulled up over his face?
No, he just had it around his neck. It was crumpled up around his neck at this point.
All right, and you saw that on him?
Yes.
And did you see if he had any weapons?
He did.
What kind of a weapon did he have?
He had a knife in his hand.
And how do you know he had a knife?
I could see it in his hand.
Was he carrying it when he came out of the warehouse?
Yes.
So now we're going for the knife, I believe. I don't know, or the mask. We'll see. Not sure if you found the Jägermeister mask. Jäger bombs, Jägermeister, makes sense. Everything's adding up for 0701.
Make sure I don't lose my way here. All right, so you said he was carrying a knife.
Yes.
You saw the knife?
Yes.
Can you describe it for the jury?
It was roughly this long. I guess you could say about 10 to 12 inches long. Black and red handle with a metal pommel, double-edged, serrated on one side, sharp on the other. Smooth on the other.
Judge going to show defense counsel what's been previously marked as a kilo.
I noticed that. I said, notice the seal is broken on the one that's a seal broken on it. It was broken before. But it's open now.
He's objecting that it's open.
Okay, no, just open it up. It's not sealed. No, yeah, actually, just for a second, just because I want to clarify here.
The defense is asking for a sidebar.
Okay.
Let's see if the jury leaves. Okay, so the objection he has is that he did not have the objection by the mask, but the objection is that this package is already opened. And he's saying, how do we know this is the right weapon? It's interesting. In other cases, we've seen very much that the evidence is sealed until it's opened by the individual who is in custody of the evidence or who packaged the evidence, and they authenticate that this is the right thing and it's been sealed, it's got my initials on it. But here they're bringing open evidence containers into court, which is a little different. He's challenging that with the judge right now, saying that you've got a broken chain of custody. Yeah, Dean. So why are they open already? And if they just say, "Oh, it's just for convenience," he might have an issue here. It is a good objection. I wish I could hear how he argues this, because if sometimes the way you argue it is very important for the judge in making the decision. It doesn't mean that the evidence would be thrown out and inadmissible entirely, but you might have to go back and lay the groundwork. See, if this is an actual issue for the judge, in the argument that Mr. Tucker makes, he would move at this point to exclude the evidence from the trial. Let's see. Is it because it was used in other trials? Possibly, but still, it's got issues. Oh, there's a lot of red tape on that.
Okay, having shown what's been previously marked as kilo to the defense counsel, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
Yes, you may approach.
Travis, I'm gonna ask you to open this
Looks
box.
like objection was overruled.
Take a look inside of it and see if you recognize it. Okay.
Yes.
And what do you recognize that to be?
To be the knife.
Which knife is that?
The knife that Tucker had in his possession when he came outside.
And how do you know that? Did you see the knife at that time?
Yes.
The knife that you're looking at now, which has been previously marked as kilo, is that the knife?
Yes, sir, it is.
Does it appear to be altered or changed in any way from when you saw it in Tucker's hand that night?
No, sir.
Judge, at this time, I see moving kilo.
All right, is there any objection?
No, sir.
All right, then. Admit states K for identification. That would be number 14
Yes.
for the state.
Permission to publish?
Yes.
Okay, Travis, let's take a look at this. Is this the knife that you saw?
Yes, sir.
Is this the knife you saw on the day of the crime?
Yes, sir.
And who was in possession of this knife?
This was Tucker.
Okay. Do you remember this being in Tucker's hand
Yes.
when he came out of the warehouse?
Yes.
Looks sort of like a fishing or scuba knife.
Now let me ask you, Travis. Tell
A little
us
bit
more
large.
about the plan. What was your understanding of what the plan was when you got over to the warehouse?
They were just going to go inside and take the money from this woman and the crack and come back. And we were going back to the hotel. Back to the warehouse, the house.
And again, your job was to wait for them in the truck.
Yes.
Do you remember if they were wearing gloves when they came out of the house that day? Out of the warehouse?
Do not remember.
Don't remember if they had gloves or not?
No.
They leave that horrible mask up there in the middle of the court.
Now, they come out, right?
Yes.
You've already described what they're wearing and what they're armed with. Do they both get into your truck?
Yes.
Where does Tucker get in your truck?
Behind me in the back seat of my truck.
And Wilson gets where?
In the front passenger seat of my truck.
Is that where he was on the previous drive around?
Yes.
And is that where the defendant was sitting on the previous drive around?
Yes.
Now, once they got back in your truck, what did you do?
I proceeded to drive back over to the treehouse.
And just so the jury has an idea of how long this would take, how long would that drive actually take from the warehouse to the treehouse?
About a minute.
Close.
Maybe less. It was very close.
And you drove back over there, is that right?
Yes.
Daytime or nighttime?
Nighttime.
Describe the lighting if you could. What's the lighting in that area by the treehouse?
Very poor.
Illuminated well?
No, not at all.
Can you see the structure at all?
No.
When you pull over there, do you see anybody else there when you pull over there?
There was a black vehicle out front, yes.
All right. And when you guys saw the black vehicle, what did you decide to do?
To drive around the block.
And why is that?
Hopefully they wouldn't be there when we came back.
So did you drive around the block?
I did.
And about how long did that drive around the block take, if you recall?
Maybe 2 minutes, maybe 3.
Okay. And did you come back to the treehouse then?
I did.
And when you did, were they still in the truck with you?
Yes.
And when you came back to the treehouse, was that car still out in front?
No, sir.
Was there any car out in front?
No, sir.
Were there any people around?
No, sir.
All right. And what, if anything, did you do when you came back to the treehouse after the drive around the block?
I stopped in front of the gate. They being Wilson and Tucker, exited my vehicle. I pulled forward about another 50 meters from the gate and stopped at a stop sign.
And
off to the side of the road at the stop sign, not in the road at the stop sign, but on the side of the road.
Okay. And when you stopped there, what was your intention at that point?
To wait for them to come back out.
Now, when they got out of the truck, were they both still wearing those masks?
Yes.
And did they both still have those weapons in their hands?
Yes.
Again, what weapon was Wilson carrying?
A pipe.
What about this defendant?
He was carrying a knife.
Okay. Do you see them go into the gate?
I watched them go through the gate, yes.
And at some point, did you lose sight of them?
I did.
All right. So then, at this point, you're sitting in the truck. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
How much time goes by until something happens next?
I don't know exactly how long. It didn't seem like very long. Maybe 5 minutes, maybe less. And somebody comes running out of the gate with a flashlight, screaming, "Help, help, help, call police." And
were you able to see that person?
I could see them. I saw them in my rearview mirror. I didn't particularly get a good look at them. At this point, I'm thinking, I'm out of here. I'm not dealing with this. And before I could pull away, I look in my rearview mirror again, and I see Tucker exiting the gate and running after my truck. As he is, he's fumbling around on the ground, dropping stuff, trying to stuff it back into a black bag that I could see he's got in his hand. And I round the corner and I take off back to the apartment or the warehouse.
Now, you said the first man came out waving a flashlight and screaming for help.
Yes.
Could you make out facial features on that person?
Negative, no.
Did you ever find out who that was?
I believe it was a Todd O'Quinn.
All right. And how long after Todd O'Quinn came running out of that gate did you see Tucker come out of that gate?
Seconds. Maybe 10, 15 seconds, not long.
Now, when you saw Tucker come out of the gate, you said you saw it in your rearview mirror?
I saw Tucker in my rearview mirror, then turned around and observed him. But I was also in the process of removing myself from the scene.
So you actually turned around and also made visual contact?
Yes.
And when you turned around, did you see him?
I did.
And how do you know it was him?
From what he was wearing and the direction he was running, which was towards my truck.
And is that the person that you knew was Tucker?
Yes.
Is that the guy who had just gotten out of your truck?
Yes.
And he said at this point he was fumbling with something. Explain that. What was he fumbling with?
Oh, he had a bag in his hand and stuff kept falling out of it onto the ground, and he kept reaching down trying to stuff it back into the bag as he was running after me.
And at that point, what was your intention?
To leave.
Did you wait for him?
No.
What'd you do?
I drove back to the apartment.
To the warehouse?
To the warehouse.
Again, how long would that drive take?
Not long. It was about 200 meters.
And at that point, what kind of reaction did you have to what you had just seen coming out of the warehouse? I mean, coming out of the treehouse?
Fear, I guess you could say. Uneasiness. I really, for lack of any knowledge, I was just nervous. I didn't know what had happened. So.
And you said you went back to the warehouse?
I did.
When you got to the warehouse, did you go inside?
I did.
Parked your truck there and went inside?
Yes.
And did you go upstairs or stay downstairs?
I went upstairs.
And how long, at some point, did Tucker show up at the warehouse?
He did.
How long after you got back to the warehouse did Tucker show up there?
Not long, minutes.
And he arrived there, is that fair to say?
Yes.
And when he got there, where did he go?
He came upstairs as well.
All right. Do you remember him coming up the steps that day to the second floor?
Yes.
And did you guys talk at that point?
We had some words, yes.
And what, if anything, do you remember the defendant? Was he still wearing the dark clothing?
Yes.
And did he have that bag that you saw him fumbling with? Did you see that in his hand?
Yes.
What about the weapon? Do you remember seeing the weapon?
No.
Do you remember seeing if he had gloves or not?
No.
And you didn't see the weapon at that point?
No.
But you saw this bag?
Yes.
All right. Did he come upstairs with that bag in his hands?
Yes.
And what did he say to you when he got up the stairs that day?
What the fuck, man? What's wrong with you? Why did you leave us? Why did you fucking take off?
Was he mad that you had left?
Yes.
And did he direct that anger at you?
Yes.
All right. And what was your response to him?
I don't want no part of this. I'm going to walk for a walk. I'm going to get a pack of cigarettes. I'll be back.
Did you ask him what happened inside there?
No.
Didn't ask him?
No.
Were you curious as to what happened in there?
Yes.
Did you have a feeling about what happened in there?
Not one of super negativity, no. Not one of murder for sure, no.
But he was angry, is that fair to say?
Yes.
Mad at you?
Yes.
Was he screaming at you or shouting at you?
No, it wasn't screaming or shouting, but it was definitely directed disappointment. There was intention.
What was he mad about?
Directed disappointment.
Me abandoning them.
All right. Did you ever see Wilson come out of that structure that day?
No.
Or, I'm sorry, that night after, when you saw Todd O'Quinn, then you saw this defendant. Did you remember seeing Wilson come out of there?
No.
Now, you're back at the warehouse now. Defendant's upset with you, right?
Yes.
You said you decided to leave.
Yes.
Where did you decide to go?
I decided to walk down to the street, down to the Tom Thumb, which is literally, I guess, the halfway point between the Treehouse and the warehouse, to get a pack of cigarettes, kind of take a breath. And
all right. How'd you get there? Did you drive or walk?
I walked.
And was anybody with you when you went there?
No, not when I went there.
At some point on the walk to the Tom Thumb, did you run into Wilson?
I encountered Wilson, yes I did.
Where did you encounter him?
Walking across the street in the parking lot of the Tom Thumb.
And is that the first time you'd seen him since he'd gotten out of your truck to go into the Treehouse?
Yes, sir, it was.
When you saw him at the Tom Thumb, did you guys talk to each other?
We did.
And did you ask him what had happened inside that Treehouse?
I did.
And what did he tell you?
Not to worry about it.
Did he give you any details about what happened?
Negative. None.
Do you remember how many times you asked him what happened?
Once.
And he said, don't worry about it.
Yes, sir.
And that was it? You accepted that?
Yes, sir.
Why didn't you push him for more, Travis?
Lack of desire to know what really went on in there.
Did you get your cigarettes?
I did.
And was Wilson there when you got your cigarettes?
He was.
And after you got your cigarettes, what did you do?
Walk back to the warehouse.
And did Wilson walk with you?
He did.
What did you guys talk about on your way back to the warehouse?
It was a pretty quiet walk. There wasn't much exchanged at all.
At some point, you guys arrived back to the warehouse?
Yes.
And take us through that. You get to the warehouse, where do you go? Bottom floor, upstairs?
Went back upstairs.
When you get upstairs, is this defendant still upstairs?
He is.
And so now the three of you are back together again?
Yes.
Is there any conversation between Tucker and Wilson about what happened inside that warehouse?
No, sir.
When you ran into Wilson on your way to that Tom Thumb, when you ran into Wilson, did he have that mask anymore?
No, sir.
Mask was gone?
Yes.
What about that pipe that he had in his hand? Where was that?
Gone.
No pipe and no mask?
Nope.
When you saw Tucker back at the warehouse, did he have the knife yet?
No.
Do you remember seeing the mask or the neck gaiter that he had that said Jägermeister?
No.
Neck gaiter was gone and weapon was gone?
Yes.
Now, you guys are all back together again on the second floor of the warehouse, right?
Yes.
And you said there was not really a conversation going on about what happened?
No, sir.
And at some point, do they start talking about what they got out of that warehouse? I'm sorry, out of that Treehouse?
Not so much talking about it, but pulling the stuff. Wilson had like a tin. It almost looked like a snuff can that was in his pocket. It was full of crack cocaine. And then there was also...
Whose pocket was that in?
It was in Wilson's.
And he produced that tin?
Yes.
And what did he do with it?
He set it on the table.
Is that a table that was upstairs in the warehouse?
The dining room table, yes.
All right. And what else? Did he unload his pockets at that point?
He had some money in his pockets as well, yes.
Do you recall how much? Or approximately how much?
Well, not when he immediately pulled it out, but when he was sitting there counting through it, it didn't look like any more than about $200 or $300.
$200 or $300.
Mm-hmm.
And that's money you saw him pull out of his pocket?
Yes.
To your knowledge, did he have any money in his pockets before you went to the Treehouse?
No.
I mean, what was the purpose of going over there?
To get money in to get drugs.
So now he's got this money in his pocket?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes, sir.
And you see him produce that money?
Yes.
And this tin?
Yes.
What's inside the tin?
Crack cocaine.
How do you know it?
Because I know what crack cocaine looks like.
And did you look inside the tin?
Yes.
Now, this defendant, was he there as well?
Yes.
Tucker was there?
Yes.
Did he produce any spoils of the robbery to you at that point?
No. Just the bag that he had, he emptied it on the table. It had nothing in it but personal effects.
All right, let's talk about that bag. Is that consistent with the bag that you'd seen him fumbling with when he came out of the Treehouse?
Yes.
And is that the bag that he had back at the warehouse?
Yes.
And you said he was emptying the
contents.
I'm sorry, emptying the contents onto this table as well.
Yes.
What kind of stuff was in that bag that he was emptying out?
Pens and notepads and feminine effects, more trinkets than anything, nothing of any substantial value.
It appeared to be the stuff that the stuff that would belong typically to a female or typically to a male?
Typically to a female, yes.
All right. And at some point, did you receive anything from the take, I guess, for lack of a better phrase?
I did.
What'd you get?
I got a $50 bill for gas.
Who gave you that?
That was received from Tucker.
Gas?
Tucker gave you that?
Yes.
The 200
And where'd that 50
drive?
come from?
From the water money that Wilson had.
That he pulled out of his pockets?
Mm-hmm.
You guys say yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you got a $50 bill out of the take.
Yes.
And this defendant's the one that handed it to you.
Yes.
And do you remember anything distinctive about that money that was handed to you?
It smelled like perfume.
Perfume?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Is that yes? Okay.
Yes, sir. I apologize.
It's all right. Anything else in that bag that you recall? You said there was makeup or something? Is that what you said? Or just pads and paper and things like that?
Yes.
No other drugs or anything in that bag?
No, sir.
All right, so now you got your gas money, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And you said there was crack cocaine in that tin.
Yes.
So did you guys at some point start smoking that crack cocaine?
We did. Another individual had showed up during all of the end of this after, we had divvied up the money and the crack was there. A gentleman by the name of Scott Perryman, big guy. And
Scott Perryman?
Yes. I was kind of relieved to see him. He was a friend from the beach. And at this point, me and him exited the warehouse and went downstairs outside to where my truck was and to have a beer. And I started to make some phone calls to Shayla. This was my fiance at the time. And this is when I encountered Penny Phelps and the SWAT team as they were moving through the neighborhood.
All right, Travis, so how long were you and Tucker and Wilson upstairs until this other guy showed up?
Maybe 15 minutes.
And you said his name was Scott?
Yes.
Was he also staying at the warehouse?
Randomly, yes. Occasionally, yes.
All right, so he stops by, it's somebody you recognize from the beach. You guys step outside.
Yes.
When you step outside, where is this defendant and Wilson at that point?
They're upstairs.
You leave them upstairs?
Yes.
So you said you went outside and started making some phone calls?
Yes.
Called your girlfriend?
Yes.
What's going through your head at this point?
I just want to go home. At this point, I'm just really not enjoying my present company, not enjoying my situation, just not real sure about my safety. I just wanted to go home.
Are you concerned about what happened inside that treehouse or what may have happened?
Somewhat, but no, it wasn't pressing.
And you said at some point the police come upon you and your buddy while you're outside in front of the warehouse.
Yes.
And did they make contact with you?
They did.
All right. And did they talk to you about anything?
Yes, they asked me if I'd seen anybody running by in dark clothing, black male. I, of course, hadn't seen anything of that nature, so I didn't affirm her, request. But I did ask what had happened, and she just told me there was a fight up at CVS.
Okay.
That's where I left it.
Did you start connecting the dots that she's asking for information? This could have something to do with what just happened, or?
Yes.
And at some point, did she start talking to you about the charge or the report you filed on your truck?
No, not at this point. No.
Okay. So you don't really confirm anything for the police at that point in time?
No.
But they move on then, is that fair?
Yes.
And they move on. How long are you and Scott outside having this break?
When they move on, we went back in within probably 2 or 3 minutes after parting ways with the law enforcement.
You go back upstairs?
Yes.
And who's upstairs when you get up there?
Wilson, Tucker, me, and Scott Perryman.
And what do you guys decide to do when you get back in there?
Start smoking crack.
All right. All four of you are smoking crack at that point?
Yes, sir.
And I guess the party continued, huh?
Yes, sir, it did.
All right. Now we're talking about November 17th, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And how late in the night did you guys smoke crack that night?
Till about the sun came up.
And when the sun came up, what, if anything, did you do?
Well, I of course went to sleep for a little while. I woke up. The warehouse was empty, except for me and Scott. And I decided at this point that I was going to find a way to remove myself from this scenario.
And so what'd you do?
I went to the beach.
Smathers Beach?
Yes, sir.
Is that the beach you typically hung out at?
Yes.
And when you left the warehouse that day to go to the beach, do you remember if Tucker was still there?
No.
You don't remember, or he wasn't there?
There was nobody there but me and Scott.
The next morning we're talking?
Yes.
And was Wilson gone as well?
Yes.
So you go to the beach that day, right?
Yes.
At some point, do you come back to the warehouse after your day at the beach?
Yes, later that evening.
All right, and now we're talking about the 18th, is that right?
Yes.
Now you come back to the warehouse, is Tucker there?
This day I don't remember the 18th very clearly, or the 19th. I know that I was in shambles trying to get my stuff together.
Why, Travis? Why do you say you were in shambles trying to get your stuff together?
I didn't feel safe anymore. I didn't want to be around these people. Shayla was really upset with the scenario and the way it was panning out, wanted me to come home.
And Shayla's your girlfriend up in Michigan?
Yes.
And so what's your plan at that point?
Well, she suggests to me that I make contact with a contractor that she knew from her working at Mangrove Mamas, an individual by the name Martin Ochoa. And she had made contact with him and arranged for me to have a meeting with him to get some work, to make some extra money, and to possibly have a place safe to go from where I was.
So this is something that Shayla arranged for you?
Yes.
And were you able to make contact with this Ochoa guy?
Yes, I was.
Was this on the 18th, the day after the event?
No, I believe this was the 19th.
All right. And you said you don't remember much about the 18th. Do you remember running into Tucker and Wilson at all during that time?
No, I do not.
You said you made contact with this Ochoa person, correct?
Yes.
Where did you guys make contact?
At Mangrove Mamas.
All right. And how did you get up there?
My truck.
And you made contact with him?
I did.
Did he have work for you?
He did.
And where was that work going to be?
In Big Pine.
And what kind of work was he going to be offering you?
There was paint work, there was roofing work, construction, basically refurbishing and rebuilding a house that had been damaged in the hurricane.
And did you tell him you'd do the work?
I did.
And did he also offer you a place to stay?
He did.
And did you decide to accept that offer?
Absolutely.
And what was the offer? Where were you going to be staying?
I was going to be staying in the house that I was going to be working on in Big Pine.
Did you return after this conversation with Ochoa? Did you ever go back to the warehouse?
I did.
And what day are we talking about now?
This, I believe, is the 19th as well.
Now, you said you went back to the warehouse. Do you remember if it was daytime or nighttime?
It was the daytime.
When you got back there, was Tucker there?
He was.
And what about Wilson? Was Wilson there?
No, he was not.
All right. And did you have did you have any interaction with Tucker when you got back to the warehouse that day?
Slightly, yes. Not prolonged. It was more in passing because I was packing my stuff, trying to get out of there.
All right. And do you remember the nature of that conversation? Do you remember what he was saying?
No.
Did you guys talk about anything happening at the Treehouse?
No.
Now, at some point, you became aware of somebody having been stabbed there. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir, it is.
Tell the jury how you became aware that something like that had happened at the Treehouse.
I was out at the beach, and I guess you could call it the Coconut Telegraph. There's lots of homeless people that hang out at Smathers Beach, and of course the news had gotten around, and they were telling me about what had happened, and I realized that this was the scenario that I was involved with.
And this was when the Coconut Telegraph, is this when you went to the beach the very next day on the 18th?
No. I didn't hear about it until the 19th.
Until the 19th?
Yes.
All right, and then you heard about it, you said, through the Coconut Telegraph?
Yes.
Did you hear about it before you went to meet Ochoa, or did you hear about it when you got back from Ochoa?
When I got back.
And did you put it together that was the situation, or that was the event from a couple nights before?
Yes, I did.
Did you become aware that somebody had been killed during that event?
Yes, I did.
And did you become aware of the name of the person?
No, I still hadn't become aware of the name of the individual.
Do you know Matthew Bonnet?
No, I do not.
Never met him?
Never met him.
So when you find this information out, do you ever confront this defendant about the information that you had obtained?
No, sir, I did not.
Why not, Travis?
Fear. Simple fear. I didn't want to put any attention on me for anything at this point.
All right. So then did you made contact with Ochoa, decided to take the job, right?
Yes.
So when you come back to the warehouse on the 19th, do you begin packing your things?
I did.
Why do you do that?
Because I'm leaving.
To go do this job?
Yes, to move out of this apartment to get away from this whole scenario completely.
Okay. And do you ever see Wilson before you leave?
No.
And you said Tucker was there that day when you packed up?
Yes.
Did you pack up all the things that you had unloaded inside of that warehouse?
Everything that I could possibly identify as mine, yes.
What about that Foot Locker that you had unloaded? Did you pack that back up?
Yes, I did.
And where'd you put it?
It got put into the back of my truck, the bed of my truck.
Now, while you were packing up, did you have like exclusive control over that Foot Locker?
No, sir, I didn't.
Were you keeping an eye on your truck the entire time?
No, sir, I wasn't.
Was anybody helping you pack your things?
I did get help from Tucker initially. When I was able to move my Foot Locker out of the apartment, it was quite heavy. So he did help me get it into my truck.
Who helped you?
Mr. Tucker.
The defendant sitting here?
Yes.
Did you tell him where you were going and what your plan was?
No.
Did you tell him you were leaving?
Yes.
Did he ask why you were leaving?
No.
Did you share any of the information you had obtained about what had happened at the Treehouse 2 nights before?
No, sir, I did not.
At some point, do you get your truck loaded up?
I do.
And do you ever see Wilson again before you leave for the new job?
No.
And do you ever become aware that if they had been taken in or not on this situation?
I did become aware that that Wilson had been arrested, yes.
All right. So then you go in, you get in your truck, you have all your stuff at this point, right?
Yes.
And where do you go?
I went to Big Pine, to the house on Enterprise Road.
And that's for the job for Ochoa?
Yes.
And do you remember the date when you did this?
I believe it was the 20th or the 20th. I don't remember exactly what day it is, but I knew it was the day of the raid. Whatever the day of the raid was, when they were arrested, it was that afternoon that I left.
All right, so let's talk about the day of the raid. What are you talking about when you say the day of the raid?
There was a search warrant executed on the warehouse.
Were you there when it was executed?
No, sir, I was not.
Had you left already?
Yes.
And did you become aware of this raid?
I did become aware of it, yes.
How did you become aware of it?
When I went back, I think my timeline's a little messed up. When I went back to collect my stuff, the raid had already occurred. And that's where I encountered, what was her name? His girlfriend, the pregnant woman.
April?
April. And she was asking me where Rory was, what happened to Rory, and I said, he's in jail. And Tucker's not. I mean, I didn't know what else to tell her. I didn't know what had happened.
And April was Rory's girlfriend?
Yes, the pregnant girlfriend, yes.
And this is when you're getting your stuff to go to Big Pine?
Yes.
The raid has already happened?
Yes.
Wilson's not there?
No.
Is Tucker there?
Yes.
And you asked Tucker how he's there and Wilson isn't?
I wasn't concerned with that, no.
All right. And when you heard about the raid, what was your reaction to that?
I got to get out of here. And it was one of dire need to leave, to flee.
To get out of that location?
Yes.
Were you worried about them tracking down to you?
Yes.
So you take off for Big Pine, is that right?
Yes.
And you get to Big Pine, you use your truck to get there?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do when you get to Big Pine?
I unloaded my truck into the house so that I could do personal inventory of all my belongings that hopefully I had retrieved from the apartment.
And you're back at the house. You said you unloaded everything. Were you by yourself or was somebody with you?
I was by myself.
Were you feeling relieved?
Yes.
Why?
I escaped. I was in a safe place as far as I knew that they didn't know about, that nobody knew anything about. It was just me.
Okay.
So I felt like I had removed myself from the situation.
Did you unpack your truck?
I did.
Into that house?
I did.
And did you start unpacking your things?
I did.
Okay. Did you discover something inside your footlocker?
I did.
All right, let's tell the jury about that. While you were unpacking your things, did you attempt to unpack your footlocker?
I did. I opened my footlocker, and right there on the top of it was the black backpack, the bag that Tucker had emptied onto the table in a dining room the night of the incident.
The bag that you saw him coming out of the treehouse with?
Yes.
The one he was fumbling with?
Yes.
And how did you know it was that bag?
It was that bag.
Okay.
That's, for lack of better words, it was right there. I didn't put it there. I knew it was what it was.
Was it there when you packed your stuff into your trunk?
No.
Do you know how or when it got put in there?
I have no idea.
When you saw it, what was your reaction?
What the fuck? Why is this in my bag? Why is this in my box?
Okay. What'd you do with it?
I panicked and I grabbed it and I looked for the closest thing near me, which was a closet, an air conditioner closet, opened the door and I threw it in, shut the door behind it.
Was it just like a regular clothes closet or?
No, it was an air conditioner closet. It was a mechanical closet.
Like where the air conditioning unit is housed?
Yes.
And you threw it in there?
Yes.
Out of sight, out of mind?
Yes.
Were you concerned that that was in your footlocker?
Yes.
And did you continue unpacking everything else?
I did.
Now, how long were you up there? At some point while you were up at Big Pine, did you receive a phone call from the police?
I did. I received a phone call from Miss Penny Phelps informing me that they had some information and possibly some stolen property of mine from my police report on my truck, and also that there were detectives that wanted to take some video and some pictures of my truck and issue me the formal report for my insurance.
And did they indicate to you that they had some things from your truck?
Yes.
Were you excited to receive that call?
Yes, I was.
Why?
I wanted, number one, I wanted the police report for my insurance purposes. And number two, I was hoping they found some of my tools. I don't buy cheap tools.
And you're just taking on a new job, right?
Yes.
Were you going to need those tools?
It would have been nice to have them, yes.
Did you make arrangements, or did the police make arrangements with you about how you should all meet up to talk about what they had?
Yes, they wanted to come to me. They wanted to come to where I was. And number one, I didn't really want to be driving around blatantly with them knowing that my driver's license was suspended. So, I mean, yes, I was driving, but I don't want to be in front of a cop. Yeah, I got a suspended driver's license. Let me just drive where you guys are. So, no, they came to where I was and did their investigation on my truck.
Travis, how long were you in Big Pine before the police came out there to pick you or to talk to you about your truck?
Not even 2 hours.
So the same day you arrived?
Yeah. Yes.
Hadn't even spent a night there yet?
No.
Had you unpacked that footlocker already?
Yes.
Had you hidden that bag in that
yes.
Air conditioning closet?
Yes.
Did the police come out?
Yes.
They photographed your truck?
They did.
At some point, did they ask you to come down to the station with them?
Yes.
What was the purpose of that?
To identify stolen property.
And did you agree to go?
I did.
And how'd you get to the station?
They drove me.
Okay.
What does land the plane mean?
All right, so they drove you down to the police station, is that right?
Yes.
And do they, at that point, is your truck completely unloaded?
Yes.
You don't have anything else in the back end of it?
I don't have anything in it.
Okay, so you unloaded all your stuff?
Yes.
All right, and you get down to the police station, they bring you in?
Yes.
Did they ever show you the items that they wanted you to look at that they thought might be from your truck?
Yes, they did.
And what was it?
It was nothing of mine.
Nothing of yours?
No, it was not. Nothing belonged to me at all.
Did you tell them there was none of your stuff?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Were you annoyed?
I was very annoyed.
Why?
Because I had made a specific list of items that I was missing, and none of these items were even remotely what I had described. So yes, I was frustrated. I felt like my time was being wasted.
Fair enough. Did they After you said that wasn't your stuff, did they drive you back to Big Pine?
No, they did not.
What happened next?
I was brought into a room for questioning.
About what?
About the September 17th, or the November 17th incident at the Treehouse.
And they started questioning you about it?
Yes, sir, they did.
All right.
Mr. Mansfield, I think this would be a good time to take a morning break. No problem. Just seems to me it's a logical break. About time to give the jurors and everyone a break. So we're going to take our morning break. This is one of those where you don't have to stay in the jury room. Just follow the usual procedures and instructions. Let's be back at 10:45, and we'll pick up with the continued examination of the witness.
We have a half-hour break here. This is, I cannot believe this. Tucker is, for all we can see, is just staring at the defendant as he testifies. Not making notes, but that's fine. Tucker is actually fairly smart and able to hold a lot in his head. He's good that way. I think he's confident on the cross, but I don't know. I don't know if I believe this. This is when you have someone who
stand by. Yes, sir.
First of all, watching something in a rearview mirror, it's flipped.
All right, the jurors are gone.
He saw details at night.
15-minute break.
In the rearview mirror.
Take a break also. We have the rule of sequestration of witnesses that's been invoked, so you're not to discuss your testimony with anyone. Any other instructions?
No, Mr. Johnson, if you want to just wait out there, we'll call you back in when we're ready, okay?
All right. Okay, so unless there's something else, we'll be back at 10:45.
Thank you, Judge.
Witness hightails it out. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay, so, oh man, I don't know. We've had two very interesting witnesses. Okay, Roger was the first one, and the second one, whose name John Travis Johnson is the second one. Both of them quite colorful characters. Both have a similar style in being very, very quick to respond to questions, almost jumping the gun. You know, the question mark hasn't yet been placed on the end of the sentence, and they're answering. That typically gives the impression of a willing participant in the questioning process, right? They're willing to tell you whatever you ask. I'll say it. I'll just dump it out. You know, you ask a question, I'll say the answer. First thing that comes to mind. And it was impressive when he started. It's like he's got that believable demeanor about him, telling the stories, how he got here, you know, where he got the money, why he has the truck, what he wanted to do, snooba, you know, all this is going on, and lots of details, a ton of details about days, about specific days, about what happened. But then other times, he specifically with the events that happened at the Treehouse while he was the getaway driver. Okay, so he was there for the plan. He was the getaway driver. He drove them there, and then he met up with them afterwards. And he has no idea what happened there, and just doesn't ask. But yet at the same time, he's scared for his safety. There seems to be little pieces that are missing, and almost it's incredible a little bit. I don't believe that everything he's telling me is true. Now, I realize there's some evidence out there. There's some interviews, I believe, of this individual that may be used for impeachment. And if so, Tucker's going to pull those up. Okay, Tucker has them. If he's got video that impeaches where this guy changes his story, it's coming in. Okay, we're not gonna go dig all those up ourselves. We're gonna view this as the jury sees it. But I have a problem with a couple things. I have a problem with the way that the prosecution is leading. If there is anybody on this jury who has this tiniest smidgen of experience in a courtroom, they know that something's not right with how this story is coming out from the prosecution, meaning the leading. It's too much. It's giving him his testimony and having him say yes or no in many instances. Oh, man. Donald says, I think he's very credible. I think there are many things he's being very truthful about. But when he had such a perfect memory of all these occurrences that happened even not associated with a major event in life, a major traumatic event. And then when it came down to this one little window, he just can't remember those days. Those are a little blurry. I realized there was a bender involved, but he remembers what happened during the bender, a drug-fueled bender. Yeah, that's just like it sounds sus. It sounds sus, Cece. I agree. Wow. Oh man. What do you guys think? I'm not ready to do a poll on the witness. Not ready to do a poll, but at the same time, we've got two witnesses that have displayed credible characteristics. Truthful characteristics are fully open about things they did that were illegal. Okay, this individual's been fully open about his involvement being the getaway driver and being a poor one at that. Okay, so, but that brings up another question. If you're the getaway driver, if you've planned, you're part of the plan. You're one of three people who are going to pull off this heist. The driving, the distances doesn't make sense, but if you're the getaway driver and as soon as you see your guy running towards you from the flashlight, it's like, hey, where we come, and you just ditch him and leave. But then at the same and say you don't know what happened, but then at the same time when you get back, you still get your cut. You still get the free drugs. You get your $50 for gas for driving around the block. There's a piece that's missing here. It doesn't fit together neatly in my head. You can't fear for your safety if you have nothing to fear. He had to have known. Love Trial says maybe Tucker didn't object because he knows this guy will shoot himself in the foot. Love Trials, I'll have to say I don't believe so. I believe Tucker didn't object because he doesn't know. He can't. He's doing too much, right? He himself is the defendant, so he's putting this together, whatever story is in his head, whether it's the truth or what he would like to present, whatever that is, he has to work with that and work with the evidence and be going back and forth and prepping his questions. He's doing all that. At the same time, I do not think he has the ability to also listen to the nuances of the questions and say, oh, there's an objection I could file here. As a lawyer, acting as my own lawyer, I should file an objection here because the way that question was worded is actually calling for hearsay from somebody else. And so if I object here, that won't come in. I don't think he can do it all. I don't think anyone can do it all. A lawyer who does this every day for court, if they're charged in a crime, they should get a lawyer because you can't do it all. All right, off my rant. The guy with the flashlight wasn't Tucker. It was someone calling for help and the police to be called. Man. Okay, so Miku's headphones. He says, yep, in my opinion, he absolutely knows what happened. He was involved and made up the story about being framed. Tell me about this foot locker. Was it a locker? Did it lock? And then that evidence just magically appear in the foot locker? I don't see it. What was in the black bag? I missed a lot. Just personal effects from Paula, I believe, is what the insinuation is. That yes, they got the little canister of crack cocaine. They got a wad of cash, but they also probably gathered a bunch of other stuff, like grabbed stuff off the table, swept off in case there was any jewelry or something. They just collected what they could into a bag, and it turns out to be like makeup and notebooks and things that probably had very little, if any, value to a theft. Are you thinking Tucker is not guilty? I don't know. I'll tell you this. I have not seen evidence yet that puts him to this. I'm talking about hard evidence. We've had testimony where individuals like the one on the stand, Mr. Johnson right now, is saying that Tucker was involved, that Tucker did it. We've seen that from a couple people. We've heard from Tucker himself some self-incriminating type statements that at least put him at the scene, or that he's familiar with the scene. There's no way he just happened to be driving through Florida Keys for the first time and is getting framed for this. Okay, this was his world in some way, and we know that. But I don't feel that we've got. I don't feel we've got all the the pieces put together. How did this Mr. Johnson guy have such a detailed recollection of the color of the handle of the knife, which was in somebody's hand? I might add, they're holding the handle of the knife, but he can tell that it's red and black, even though it's inside their hand. And what color the pommel was, and which side there was serration on one side, and about the actual length, and the mask and the gaiter, and it said Jägermeister, and then you've got the demon mask. Obviously, that would be something that's quite memorable. The demon mask and the pipe, and it's just his memory is on fire. Oh, to have a memory like that, and then at the same time, I was like, those next couple days, don't remember what day that happened. I just not getting it. Tucker has a wife. Yes, he does. I believe he married one of the co-founders of CrossFit. Possibly how he was able to bail out with a $2 million bail amount. Let's see. We need photos of the hotel warehouse. You can picture this. Okay, draw in your head the most. I don't know. Zero. Let me tell you this. If there was electricity in the warehouse, I'm guessing it was extension cords run everywhere. There was no plumbing. This is not up to code. This is just let's put some walls and some beds or a mat on the floor so people can sleep, and we'll charge them rent. It's crazy. Okay, Tracy Collins says, let's update the thumbnail. Let's do that really quickly. Let me show you where the thumbnail's at, because Tracy, I've been one step ahead of you. I really have. Here's what we have right now. Thanks for your super chat, Tracy. Appreciate that. We have added just a couple things to our thumbnail based on the testimony today. Not a lot to add yesterday because we had so little testimony. So we still have the palm tree, the camera. We've got our detective, Mr. Tucker. We put him in the truck because that was what the testimony was. We've got the tire tracks. We've got the ketchup spill with a chalk outline. We've got a flashlight. Let's see what else we have. We've got the shipwreck with the pirate. Added the parrot on the shoulder. That was a nice touch. Bud Light on the ground, $100 bill. There's Paula's bike. We have the late note because Tucker has been late, 3 times. We've got chess sitting on the table. Let's see. We added some scuba gear. Some snuba gear, right? It's like snorkeling and scuba. I added just the mask and the snorkel there. There's some fins. We have the key lime pie sitting there on the shelf, cooling, ready for consumption. There's our camper. Crime scene tape up on the treehouse. The treehouse has a tarp and a tarp flag. Yay. And then we've got, as also the treehouse had, it was the attachment for the dish satellite. And then here in the corner, we have 2 little additions. We have Tucker's always present Starbucks coffee mug. And then one end of the telephone telegraph, or the coconut telegraph, which is sitting there. So we've got, that's where we're at. I think we're almost up to speed on all this. You mentioned, I forgot to mention that we have the ever-present crack, which was present in this story many times. Everyone's testified there was crack everywhere, and there's a crack right there. So that's where we are in court, or that's where we are on the thumbnail. Okay, Domino's. I missed the testimony. I was working on this, and I came back to chat and saw somebody saying Domino's. Can somebody remind me what happens with the Domino's? How does that fit in? Was that what they played at the warehouse? It seemed to be during the warehouse time that we heard that testimony. Yes, just enjoy yourself. This is fun. Thank you, Reverend Beasy. I need Domino's. The warehouse seems weird, but it also gets people off the beach and the roof over their head. People do it in different states and get in trouble for it. Yeah, we've seen in California. I mean, it wasn't I don't know. It might have been 10 years ago now, but there was one of these warehouses that was much larger. It was a huge structure that they had built little walls in. We're talking plywood, lumber, extension cords everywhere, and it caught fire. I think people died in that one because, of course, the fire exits are non-existent, and it's just how many people can you fit in and charge rent to. It's pretty bizarre. Kim R says, so it's assumed that Tucker didn't feel provided representation would be fair in representing him. Kim, I have not heard. I realize he's doing interviews. I'm not going to do anything during the trial with Tucker. I believe in my heart of hearts that is wrong. We've got somebody who needs to focus on his own defense, who is representing himself, and I would not want to take any time away from him studying the law books, studying Courtroom 101, because he needs every minute he can possibly get there. Let's see, a domino. We'll put a domino on there somewhere. Flop house, drug house. I think courts. Somebody's walking around in court, but I can't see who it is yet. They just walked by. Warehouse fires often kill people. This is the absolute worst judge I've seen, says Talia. So incredibly biased to the state. I honestly hope Tucker can appeal regardless of his guilt because he got the short end of the stick with this one. Here's the problem, Talia. Tucker can appeal if he's preserved the record for appeal, which means he has to make an objection that is overruled by the judge and say, I'd like to preserve this for the record because, I disagree with your ruling, Judge. He's not making the objections. We can count on one hand the number of times he's objected. Even the last time he objected, he didn't object on the record. He just said he wants a sidebar. And I believe that would not be on the record. I don't know. Maybe they are recorded. All right. How do I find Travis's interrogation? I think you can find them. There's like a free Franklin Tucker, a YouTube page that has posted a lot of those interviews. But I think we're going to see some of those in court here today. Gerda K says, I have a question. If they have someone that placed himself there, why would they try to convict Tucker? I can't make up my mind on what's going on. Well, Gerda, they got the driver, the gentleman who's on the stand right now, the gentleman in the shorts and the hoodie that we've been listening to, Mr. John Travis Johnson, is the self-admitted getaway driver. But he is willing to say, I'll work with the state. I'll point the finger at the guy who had the knife. Okay, so what do you do? Do you pursue the guy who was a getaway driver and say, look, you're a getaway driver. We're gonna throw the book at you because you're part of this whole crime. And in a lot of states that works. You can be charged with the same offense that the people who went in the Treehouse did if you're the getaway driver. Or do you say, work with me, we'll give you a lighter sentence. We'll let you out after 5 years, and give us the knife man, give us the murderer. And it sounds like that's what sort of deal they swung. Victoria B says, has there ever been a pro se defendant that won a murder trial? I'm sure there has. And that might be Tucker's case. He might get to the end of this trial and say, look, there is no evidence. You've got a couple people who were involved in this that are trying to say I was the dirty guy on this and I wasn't there. There's no evidence that puts me there. There might be no DNA on the knife. There might be no DNA on the mask. There might be no DNA at the crime scene in the truck. If there is no physical evidence that ties Mr. Tucker to the crime scene, you just have the word of a couple people who themselves were guilty, then do you believe it? And especially if he can impeach them and use prior testimony or stuff to show that they're not telling the truth. Why am I not surprised that there's a YouTube channel for that? Anna, there is a YouTube channel for everything. Some courts record sidebars, some do not. Here's what I think, Ken. I don't think they do, and the reason why is because the jury was present. There is no white noise machine to sort of keep it quiet, so they're just whispering to each other. We already know that the court reporter can't hear Mr. Tucker when he whispers. He has to, even using the microphone, she can barely hear him. So I don't think it was recorded. I feel like the case is very messy. We have issues. We have an issue with a detective who's been reprimanded for how she handled evidence in this case. Okay, he should have took notes from Daryl Brooks about the objection thing. Yeah. Make objections. The judge has zero duty right now. He has zero duty to teach Mr. Tucker how to lawyer. Okay, when he did his little voir dire of Mr. Tucker when he says I want to represent myself, and he's like, look, you know what this means, okay? Because you're going to be a severe disadvantage. You're not going to have people to help you. I can't help you. They covered all this. Oh man. Gerda K gifted a membership. Thank you so much, Gerda. That one, well, let's see where it went. We don't know where it went. Oh, well, it went to Jana Bell. Congratulations, Jana. Thank you very much, Gerda. What happened with the female police officer? Did he ever get to use the audio? He used some of it, but it just didn't work. The way he presented it, the judge was saying that's not impeachment. Now, he was able to impeach her a little bit with the evidence and the handling and with the letter of recommendation that recommended she not be a police officer anymore, at least not a detective. All right. Is it just me, or does the judge have a bad case of ID gaff? ID gaff. For those who know the ID gaff, it's I don't give any. What was it? Yeah, I don't give a something. I forget what it stands for. It was on the tip of my tongue, and now I can't remember. But the judge, in some ways, seems to hate his job, where you see him cradling his head in his hands, possibly in prayer, asking for the end of the world or something to come quickly, because he just, it's miserable for him at sometimes. DSN gifted a membership just now as well. I don't give a flip. That was it. That was it, Becca. Thank you very much. That was what I was. A fig. I don't give a fly. A fudge. A flip. Figs. A frog. Yes, I don't give a frog. Or a flop. Yes, that's. I couldn't remember that word. I knew it was out there. DSN, that your gifted membership went to Nikki. Congratulations, Nikki. Thank you, DSN. He always seems to yell. It's when he's asked a question that he yells. It's like every time it catches him off guard. So, are we back already? Yeah, we are. Hang on. Was that half an hour?
Okay, so attorneys, defendant, back. We have the jurors in the jury room.
Yes, sir. Did I talk for half an hour?
You can come on up back to the witness stand.
It seemed like 10 minutes. So it was only a 15-minute, not a... I thought it was half an hour, and maybe my clock was off.
So we can bring the jurors in.
Witness is back.
Thank you, sir.
Officer Bailiff is pouring drinks.
Please.
Or Bailiff Butler is pouring drinks. Starbucks is about gone.
That's a good idea.
Bite Me, thank you for gifting a membership. That one went to Ken Ginger. Or Ginger. Ginger? I'm going to say Ginger, Ken. I don't give a flock. Yes. Courtney Meek. This reminds you of Forrest Gump. Jenny. Got a lot of words in 15 minutes. Don't give a fridge or a ferret.
Okay, so you all can have a seat. Apparently, you don't have to stay standing. We'll just wait for the remaining juror to return.
One juror is not present. He's probably wandering around the halls going, hey, where did everybody go? I thought we had half an hour. Recovery Addict said we had half an hour, and it's only been 15 minutes.
All jurors Please be seated, everyone.
That was not pretty.
All right, so welcome back to court. Pleasant. The witness is back on the witness stand, still under oath, subject to continuing direct examination. So you can proceed, Mr. Mansfield.
Thank you, Judge.
This is our first witness, still on the stand.
All right, Travis,
today.
so now you're at the police station, correct?
Yes.
Excuse me, and you went down there to look for some items from your truck, right?
Yes.
But now they flipped the script on you.
Yes.
They're talking to you about what?
About the robbery and the murder.
All right. And do they continue questioning you about what happened there?
Yes.
Thank you, Kevin.
And do they start presenting you with different pieces of evidence that they've got about what happened there?
Yes, sir, they did.
All right. And what is your reaction to all of this as it's happening? Are you in shock?
Yes.
Why?
Because I'm being implicated.
All right. And did it surprise you when you got down there and you realized it wasn't really about the stuff from your truck, but it was something else?
Yes, it was rather surprising.
And they questioned you for a while. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir, they did.
Remember how long?
No.
Hours, minutes?
Hours.
And ultimately, you end up giving them a statement. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
Do you give them a statement about everything that happened?
Yes, sir.
And do you also, in that statement, tell them about your involvement in what happened?
Yes, sir.
All right. And are you arrested?
Yes, sir, I was.
And what are you charged with?
I was charged with murder and with robbery.
At any point during this process, did anybody explain to you what the principal theory meant?
No, not at this point in time.
When did you realize what that principal theory meant and how it affected you?
After the first meeting with my public defender.
All right. And you became aware of that premise under the law?
Yes, sir, I did.
Now, I'm going to switch gears here for a minute and have you take a look at some videos that we have in evidence.
Okay, if they're damaging to his testimony, they're probably going to bring it up themselves. It might be better if they bring it up than Mr. Tucker does. Let's see how they do this. He's going to try to explain away maybe some inaccuracies or untruths that were told. Yeah, that is. If you could do that somewhere other than in front of the microphone, Mr. Attorney, that would be great. Oh, sure. Prosecution has is that Tracy from IT?
Okay, Judge, just so the record is clear, I have obtained from the clerk what's been marked into evidence as number
7.
7?
Exhibit 7.
Okay, it's Exhibit 7. I'm going to hand it to
your good friend, close confidant, Tracy from IT.
Yes. All right, so now that we have somebody who's much better on computers than me, Chris, let's bring up the first one, which is going to be...
Chris.
Yeah, the electric.
Okay, so the jurors can see the screen all right. They're nodding affirmatively. And Mr. Tucker, presumably you're in a position to see it as well?
Sir. All right. Chris, if you just pause for a second, please. All right, Travis, we're looking at what's in evidence as State's Exhibit 7. Now, going back to 2017, when you're at the station, do you remember how long, do you remember approximately what day this was that you were down at the station?
November 22nd, I believe.
Okay, so it's a couple days after the stabbing.
Yes.
Now, at some point, do they ask you to look at videos as well?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to have you take a look at here. It is what Exhibit 7. And Chris, if you just let it play through the first one.
Well, can you see it all right?
I cannot see it very well.
I'm sorry, Travis. You're right, Judge. I apologize. Travis, if you need to step down, I can have you just stand next to it.
It's okay right there. Yes, I can see.
No,
what are you doing?
The trouble is, he can see it, but I don't know if the defendant can see it. So
why don't you come down, Travis? Step down.
Let's put it back where it was. Mr. Johnson, you can step down. Just speak loudly because you don't have the mic now. And if you need to position yourself so you can.
If I turn this direction, I can see fine. Yes, sir.
All right.
All right.
Now we're ready.
Do you recognize that neighborhood, Travis?
Yes, sir, I do.
Where is that?
That is the neighborhood right directly outside of the warehouse. To the left is the warehouse, where that intersection is. It's maybe 100 yards.
Chris, pause.
That is me.
Who's that we see walking there?
That is me.
That's you?
Yes, sir.
All right. Where are you heading at that point?
To the Tom Thumb.
Now, is this you as you were walking to Tom Thumb after the event had happened?
Yes.
Is this when you left the warehouse?
Yes.
And again, why did you leave the warehouse?
This was after the discussion me and Tucker had, and I went to the Tom Thumb to go get cigarettes.
Okay. And that's you?
Yes.
All right. Go ahead, Chris, if we play, just let him walk through. Now pause again. Now, if we look at the timestamp on this, it's military time is 2016, so we're looking at what, about 8:16 in the evening?
Yes, 8:16.
And 42 seconds. Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
And would this be before or after you had taken Tucker and Wilson over to the treehouse?
This is after.
How long after?
Maybe 20, 30 minutes.
Okay. All right, Chris, go ahead. And again, where were you heading as we see you walking in this video?
To the Tom Thumb grocery store on the corner.
Chris, let's take it to the next, what's the next timestamp?
2019.
Okay, let's go to 2019. A minute later, 2 minutes later.
Did it take 20 minutes to go get the cigarettes from Tom Thumb? I thought it was just down the road. And he walked to it. File just crashed. Oh, if the thumb drive is corrupt now. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine? The evidence is no longer open with Windows Media Player, not VLC. I would use VLC on this one.
It's 2022.
There we go. Let's play from there. Now it's 8 minutes, and pause for a minute, Chris. Thank you. Now it's military time. It says 2019. Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
So now we're looking at what, 8:19 in the evening?
Yes, sir.
A few minutes from after the other video, right?
Yes, sir.
And go ahead, Chris, play. Go ahead and pause. All right, so we see 2 men walking there. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
And who are those 2 men? Can you identify them?
Yes, it is me and Mr. Wilson.
All right. Now, you can't really see facial features, right?
No, sir.
How do you know that's you and Mr. Wilson?
I remember the walk.
And that's the man you knew as Rory Wilson, rather?
Rory Wilson, yes, correct.
All right. And where are you guys walking from initially? I mean, where are you coming from as we see it here?
The Tom Thumb grocery store.
And where are you heading to?
Back to the warehouse.
All right, Chris, go ahead and play.
Checks behind him.
Okay, that's going to be it for this video. If we can go to the other one on the drive.
Here's the boatyard
Now,
video.
what, if anything, are we, the vantage point where we're seeing right now, what are we seeing, Mr. Johnson?
This looks like the marina that was next to the warehouse.
Okay. And again, proximity to the warehouse would be, like, where would the warehouse be as we look at this vantage point?
Back the other direction. The lights of the building in front is the CVS, and that would make the warehouse directly opposite in the opposite direction of roughly 200, maybe 300 meters.
Okay.
So the light directly in front of the boat, the large
Chris,
boat
if you can take us to
on the wall.
the first
That's the
timestamp I wrote
CVS.
down there, please.
Treehouse would be down on your left, towards the left of the big large boat, down the street, just beyond this building. Whoop, back it up, back it up, back it up. That's the truck. Back it up. There we go.
Okay, let's play it from there.
It's going to happen fast here. Watch that little gap. Oh, Mr. Prosecutor's going to stand in the middle. Oh, good. That helps our view a ton. Chris can't even see what's going on. Look, Chris is like leaning. He's like, it would be nice if I could see. I'm the IT guy. I'm supposed to control the video and everything for you, but I can't even see the screen, Mr. Prosecutor, because you make a better door than a window.
Stop. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Gotta
About
rewind just a few seconds for now.
it's like I can't even see the stop button. Oh. This is not better, Mr. Prosecutor. I found myself leaning in my chair trying to see. Trust me, I've tried every angle. I can't see around this dude. Let's, in chat, let's just go ahead and make up what you think is happening on the screen. Best comment wins.
Now we see a truck, or we see a vehicle pulling in there, is that right?
Nope.
Do you know what that is?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
That is my truck.
How do you know it's your truck?
From the situation and the time, yes. Yes, it's my truck.
Now, pause again. If you watch the lights over in here, if you could just rewind.
I thought we were going to get a shot. Just a little peek. I hope the jury has a better view than this. Okay, there's the truck.
Maybe to the right of the boat there, you see, is that your truck pulling through?
Yes, sir.
It doesn't appear to stop, does it?
No, it does stop. I do stop just out of frame.
Is that consistent with the first drive-by that you did that night?
Yes.
He says he stopped just out of frame.
We can't see if the truck is stopped here or not, can we?
No, sir.
Okay. That's just other things. That was your truck we saw pull through there, is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, Mr. Murphy. Your Honor, could I move up just a little closer? I'm still having trouble seeing. Can I just stand on the edge of the table here? Or
yes.
something like that?
Now you can position yourself so you're able to see.
Okay, so the witness just testified that he did stop just out of frame. The prosecutor corrected him to say, you didn't, you just drove through.
Yes.
You can also put your chair up there if you want to.
Mr. Tucker, you can sit right there next to Chris, if you'd like. Takes about 2 minutes to drive around the block. Yep, here we go. We're back. We're back. There goes. And this time the truck does appear to stop right there. You have some movement between the boats. A little bit of light visible. Truck pulls forward another couple inches. More movement. And then two people walking down between the boats.
Individuals just
I'm sorry, you have to wait till you're asked a question.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. Chris, what's the next time, Sam?
1945, 1951.
Okay, let's go to 1951. All right.
Individuals are just walking past the boat right here.
All right, let's go back now.
He missed it. Okay, we've now got movement. This is the truck's pulling up right now. Well, it was.
Okay, Travis, we just see something again, don't we?
Yes, sir.
What did we see?
My truck again.
Now, if you look to the right of the boat, what did your truck do this time?
Stopped right there.
Just back up just 2 seconds. 3 seconds.
Back up 3 seconds. Okay. And play. You're going to see the boat come over between the two boats, or you can see the truck appear between the two boats as he plays forward here.
Is that your truck?
Yes, sir.
Look at the right of the boat. What do we see?
There it is.
Stop.
Right. Is that consistent with having the driver on first and putting up the second time?
Yes, sir.
I know. Behind that boat.
So two people get out and are walking, and then what? The truck moves, right?
What do we see there?
Two individuals walking.
Can you see their facial features?
No, sir.
Is it consistent with Wilson and Tucker getting out of your truck and walking toward the treehouse?
Yes, sir.
What's our next step? Now, 51. So 5-6 minutes later, let's go to 1951.
Okay, the truck should still be there.
We're going to go 5 minutes ahead of the video. Travis, what do we see through the side of the boat there?
Looks like headlights.
Okay, is that consistent with your truck?
Yes.
How can you say that's consistent with your truck's headlights from this angle?
I understand, and that's why it was referenced consistent with, but it's understood.
So he does object. Judge sides with the defense, or sides with the prosecution on this one.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chris.
We almost get to see the pertinent area. I will give props to the cameraman for not having autofocus turned on. Otherwise, we'd just be seeing the stitching of this man's suit, which there seems to be a sizable amount of stitching. As far as I can see, the truck should still be there in that image. We're waiting. Chris, are we on pause, Chris, or have you clicked the play button? Because nothing's happening. Oh, there we go. Trees are blowing. Okay, you clicked play. Now, here we go. Something's happening here. We don't know what.
Now what time, Travis, is on the timestamp?
1951 and 3 seconds.
So now we're talking about, what, 7 minutes after we saw the 2 minutes? 6 minutes?
Yes.
Mr. Tucker watching from the cheap seats as well. View is not very good.
In the background here, if you go back just 1 second for me, please, Chris.
Lights.
You see a person going up the hill?
Lights going to
Does
CVS.
it appear that they have a flashlight in their hand?
Yes, sir, it did.
Is that consistent with the person you saw running out of the treehouse with the flashlight screaming for help?
Yes, sir, it is.
And you can't see facial features on that, right?
No, sir, I cannot.
But is it consistent with what you remember seeing?
Yes, sir, it is.
And you said that was named Kyle Quinn, right?
I believe that was his name, yes.
What do we see right there?
See another individual running.
Focus in here.
Enhance.
Right. Okay. Right there. What do you see?
See an individual running.
I can't make out a facial feature, can you?
No, sir.
Is that consistent with Tucker running out of that gate?
Yes, sir.
Is that consistent with what you remember seeing when you turned around and looked and saw him fumbling with the bag as he ran out of the gate?
Yes, sir.
Appeared to be dressed in black?
Yes, sir.
What direction does he appear to be running towards?
My vehicle, sir.
Your vehicle. Would that be consistent with where your vehicle had been parked?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Did we ever see the vehicle leave? I mean, we zoomed in on that part. But
Now, that's an evidence. The night back in 2017, well, Travis, before I ask you that, let me ask you another question. At this point in time, you guys had run out of drugs, you said, right?
Yes.
I mean, that was part of the reason why you were doing this, you said, right?
Yes.
How long had you been out of drugs?
Roughly 36 hours.
All right, so prior to all of this happening, had you guys been smoking dope?
Yes.
And how close in time were you smoking to when this was happening?
Probably 24 hours.
Okay, so
maybe a little more.
I'm sorry?
Maybe a little more.
Okay. So is it fair to say that directly prior to this happening, you were not under the influence of any drugs?
No, sir.
It had been 24 hours since you guys smoked something.
Yes, sir.
How about alcohol? Had you been drinking prior to this happening?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How close in time were you drinking to when this event occurred?
I probably had a beer in the truck with me.
Okay.
I was
Anything,
slammed.
I mean, were you so intoxicated that it affected your perception of what was happening?
No, sir.
Were you so intoxicated that you couldn't tell or you couldn't really see what you said you saw coming out of the treehouse?
No, sir.
So your level of intoxication didn't affect your ability to perceive?
No, sir.
And you hadn't done any drugs?
No, sir.
Not, at least not prior to this, directly prior?
Correct.
Now, taking it back to 2017, when you were down at the station, you gave them a statement, correct?
Yes.
After the statement, did they ask you to watch videos?
Yeah, they did.
And did you, in fact, watch those videos?
Yes, sir, I did.
Are they the same videos you saw here today?
Yes, sir, they are.
Now, back then, they asked you about your ability to identify in those videos, right?
Yes.
Let's take the first video we saw where you identified as yourself walking towards Tom Thumb.
Yes.
And then you were coming back with Wilson, right?
Yes.
Back in 2017, when you watched the video, did you make a positive ID?
I did.
All right. Was it an unwavering ID, or did you kind of vacillate back and forth?
I was vacillating, yes.
And why were you vacillating?
Fear.
Were you
scared.
Scared?
Yes.
Why were you scared?
Because I was realizing that they had video evidence and I was being implicated that this was, I was caught. I was scared.
Were you surprised when you saw these videos?
Yes, sir, I was.
And when you saw the videos, had you already given your statement, or was your statement yet to follow?
I gave my statement. They used these videos, I guess, to corroborate what I had already told them.
Okay.
That's
so
a believable
referring
factor.
to the part where it showed you walking down the street, you said you ID'd yourself, but you vacillated. Is that fair to say?
I did, yes.
And at the time when you were watching it, did you know it was you?
Yes, I did.
And you vacillated again. Why?
Again, out of fear. You couldn't clearly see facial expressions or facial features. So by me vacillating, I was hoping to, I don't know, somehow convince them that maybe it wasn't me, or convince myself that it wasn't me. But I knew it was me.
And were you surprised when you saw these videos?
Yes.
Now we talked about the other one that showed you walking. Let's talk about this video here. When you saw this video, did they ask you to identify your truck?
Yes, they did.
And were you able to identify your truck?
I was, yes.
Again, was that an unwavering identification, or did you vacillate?
Again, I vacillated.
And why did you vacillate?
Again, because I knew it was me, and for lack of wanting to outright admit it was me, I wavered and, I can't really tell, those kind of attitudes.
Now, as far as the two men that we see coming from your truck, can't make out facial features, right?
No, sir.
As you sit here today, can you say that's consistent with what happened that night?
Yes, sir, it is.
And again, these videos were shown to you back in 2017, after you gave a statement.
Yes.
After you watched these videos and you kind of gave your vacillating identification, what did they do next to you?
They arrested
A few minutes went by and they charged me with murder.
Okay, you were charged.
Yes.
Judge, if I can just have 1 second to talk to my trial partner.
Yes.
Oh, you're just rubbing it in, sir, because Tucker can't. Tucker doesn't have a trial partner. Okay, vacillating. It seems like a nice way to describe a lie.
Hi, Travis.
Lying to the police.
You were arrested that night, correct?
Yes, sir, I was.
And you were charged with murder?
Yes, sir, I was.
And you sat in jail for a long time?
Yes, sir, I did.
While this case made its way through the criminal justice system?
Yes, I did.
About several years, actually, correct?
56 months.
56 months, you have it down.
Whoa.
Yes, sir.
Now, at some point, and I'm going to talk about April of 2022. In
Over
April of
4
22,
years.
at that point, you had a lawyer representing you, correct?
Yes, correct.
And at some point, were you approached about potentially cooperating with the state and becoming a state witness?
Yes, sir, I was.
And is that something your lawyer approached you with?
Yes.
And through that communication was a meeting set up between you and my office to talk about what you knew from this crime?
Yes.
And again, at that meeting, were you once again asked to give a sworn statement as to what happened?
Yes, sir, I was.
And did you give that sworn statement?
Yes, sir, I did.
And where did that take place?
It took place in the first appearance room, which is an office off of the main lockdown facility in the jail.
And you were still in jail at that point, right?
Yes, correct.
Travis, from that night that you went down to the station from Big Pine, did you ever get out?
No.
So that night you went in and you were in the entire time?
Yes.
Consistently until this April of 22?
Yes.
All right. And you sat down with your lawyer, correct?
Yes.
Somebody from my office?
Yes.
And a member from the police department?
Yes, sir.
And
Detective Weiner, I believe was his name.
I'm sorry, sir?
Detective Weiner, I believe was his name.
You're
All right.
pronouncing it wrong.
And were you asked to give a sworn statement about what happened that night?
Yes, sir, I was.
And did you in fact do that?
I did.
And after that was done, did your lawyer talk to you about potential cooperation in this case?
Yes, sir.
And what the deal would be, correct?
Yes, sir.
And ultimately, what deal did you get, sir, in order to cooperate and testify on behalf of the state?
I was given credit for time served, which was almost 5 years. Then I was also put on supervision, probation, for an additional 5 years until the completion of this trial.
Okay. And is one of the terms of your probation that you cooperate with the state in their prosecution of this matter?
Absolutely, yes.
And did you accept the terms of that deal?
Yes, I did.
And what did you ultimately plead to in order to effectuate this cooperation?
The murder charge was dropped, but I did plead to aggravated robbery with a mask while armed and aggravated battery with a deadly weapon while masked.
Okay.
Which are both very serious charges as well. But
of course. Now, did your lawyer ever explain to you, even though you weren't the person that went inside, you were guilty?
Yes.
And that was under this principal theory?
Yes.
And you accepted the deal and you went ahead and took the terms, and that's where we're at today. Is that fair to say?
This is correct, yes.
Has everything you've testified to today been the truth as far as you know it?
As far as I know it.
Okay, so we only have other people that are pointing to
Travis,
Tucker.
at this time I have no further questions for you. Thank you.
Now Tucker
Judge, I'll
gets a
tender the
chance.
witness.
This may be spicy. This may be interesting.
All right.
There's not a lot of love lost
Cross-examination?
between these two, so politeness might get strained here.
I was wondering if we could take like an early lunch so that when I do my cross, we can just go ahead and get into the cross and not break it up.
No, I think that we've got ample time to get well underway here. If you need 5 minutes or something like that, but I
expect it to be a long cross. It's not as
well,
nice.
I understand, but we've got a good chunk of time to get started, so I'm disinclined to break for lunch now.
Thank you.
You can't be late for court and then also request an early lunch, and then drink the rest of your Starbucks. Here goes Mr. Tucker. Let's see how he does on cross.
Actually, okay, Mr. Johnson.
Judge, I'm sorry, before we start, I'm going to return the drive back to the clerk.
Okay, that's fine. I don't know if Mr. Tucker would care to move the podium a little bit.
And actually, if you want to leave that up there, that's just fine. I planned on pulling those exhibits anyway, unless you want to.
All right,
so we can go back here.
They're going to be used, and we might just as well keep them.
That's what I figured.
Where they're at.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me?
There's a drive sitting on that little wall. There's a thumb drive straight in front of. There he is. The bailiff grabbed it. Looks like, what is this? Just spare evidence sitting around the courtroom. It's fine.
It's a copy, Judge. It's a copy just so...
Where did this one come from, says the clerk. This one's not mine. Can you give that to the prosecution? Instead, he gives it, well, yes, he's going to give it to the prosecutor. Just has a copy. Spare copies.
Okay.
Bonus evidence.
Mr. Johnson, let's go start off back at the beginning where Mr. Mansfield started, okay?
Okay.
Now, you gave us a little bit of your history prior to that. You said you were in the military.
Yes.
Right, and again, where was that? Where did you serve?
I served in Kosovo and Afghanistan.
Okay, Kosovo and Afghanistan. Do you ever kill anybody?
I have done my job.
That's not what I asked.
I have done my job.
Have you ever killed
I was an
anybody?
infantry soldier. Yes, correct.
Badgering the witness.
I'm just...
I will overrule the objection.
He gets asked this question.
I believe you need to
Yes,
give
I
it
have.
Yes, you have. Okay, great.
Wow.
Okay. Now, you also testified that you had PTSD. Is that correct?
Yes, I did.
And when was that first diagnosed?
In 2009.
2009. Okay. And did you get any treatment for that?
I have.
Okay, and what was the treatment?
I have had multiple issues of treatment through one program in Bonham, Texas at the Sam Rayburn VA. It was a total inpatient program for roughly 10 months. Came out of that one, went back into another program in 2015, which was in Miami, which was also an intensive inpatient program out of the Miami VA.
So 2009, 2000 to what, almost 2010?
2009, 2010, yes, would be my first initial treatment. And then the second intensive inpatient PTSD treatment was in Miami, at the Miami VA in 2015.
And how long did that last?
For approximately 11 weeks.
11 weeks, so...
I'm sorry, was that weeks or months?
Weeks.
Okay.
Weeks.
And is that the only time you've sought treatment for it?
No.
Okay, any other ones that were long-term?
Those were the longest term, but I have maintained a continuous outpatient treatment with the Dallas VA before I transferred to Miami.
Okay.
But the last treatment I received was in October of 2015.
Okay, back to the military. What was your MOS?
11 Bravo.
11 Bravo. Okay, so you're
infantry soldier.
Infantry, yep. Okay. And you said you had a methamphetamine problem at one point. And how long ago was that?
Years. Probably from the time I was 15, off and on, most of my life.
Okay, so the time you were 15, and I'm assuming you don't have a methamphetamine problem now?
No, sir.
Okay. But you did it back in 2017. Is that correct?
No, I didn't. I was clean actually in 2017 from methamphetamines, yes.
And you said you first came down here with Crystal Barrett, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that you got you a job, is that correct?
No, we were going to partner into a franchise, not so much get me a job as it was going to be a partnership through this SNUBA franchise that was, yes, that was quite new at the time. Something of interest to both of us.
Okay. And what did it do? I'm not exactly sure what it is.
It was a combination of snorkeling and scuba at the same time, where tourists, people that were not certified, could come in and dive on a tank with a hose and regulator, but wouldn't have to be certified because you didn't go any deeper than 20 feet. And anything after 20 feet, I guess you would have to be certified. So this franchise allowed people
Sounds like
to
a lawsuit
come on
waiting to
vacation,
happen.
experience snorkeling and scuba diving without having to go through all the certifications to do this. So it seemed pretty appealing at the time.
Did you put your money into it?
No, I was never able to get to that point.
Okay. And about how far did you get?
About a week and a half into my journey into Key West before it fell apart.
Okay, gotcha. And that's when you ended up on the streets?
Yes.
Okay, and at the beach?
Yes.
Okay, and that's where you met David Gross?
Yes.
Did you have any other jobs while you were down here?
Yes.
You know, at that time?
No, at this time, no.
Okay. And how long was that, would you say, that you were jobless and homeless down here?
A month.
Month?
Yes, 30 days.
And is that when you went back up to Detroit?
No.
Okay, what'd you do after that?
While I was in the interim from coming here from Dallas to Snuba and living on the beach, I had placed an ad on Facebook for handyman work, and I received a call from the Pier House. And this was probably a week after I had removed myself from the homeless situation, had acquired residential security in Marathon, and started working at the Pier House, which would put me at about end of September 2017, or 2016, excuse me.
Okay, the end of September 2016, and you're working at the Pier House?
Yes.
How long did that last?
Until I left in June of 2017.
Okay, June of 2017. So you left in June of 2017?
Mm-hmm. I went to Detroit with Shayla.
Okay. And you went back to Detroit, right? And that's where you're from. You were from before.
I'm not from Detroit.
Okay.
I'm from Dallas, Texas.
I mean, did you ever live in Detroit before?
No, I've never been there before.
Oh, so this was all new?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Never been there before. And you had met David Gross on the beach, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, September 2016. Okay. Now, when you know, again, the summer of 2017, June, you said, is when you came down here, right? How'd you get here? Who'd you come with? Anything?
In 2017?
Mm-hmm.
That was when me and my fiance had departed our residence, which was in Bay Point, mile marker 15. I was living at 19A Circle Drive, which is right behind Baby's Coffee. We had terminated our lease and moved to Detroit to settle her home. She had owned her own home since she was about 22, and she wanted to put it on the market, sell it, and we were going to get married and permanently stay in Key West.
Okay. And again, I think I may have confused you a little bit. I was talking about when you came from Michigan to come down here. You know, how'd that come about?
Like I said, when I left here and went to Michigan with her, our intentions were to stay there for the summer, fix her house, put it on the market, return to Key West for season,
okay,
which basically was the end of summer on until the next summer. Unfortunately, the hurricane hit in 2017 before we were able to financially organize and return to Key West.
Okay, so I'm clear here. Did she come with you?
No, she did not come back with me whenever I came
she didn't
back.
come back with you. Did anybody come with you?
No, I came by myself.
Do you remember a guy named Matthew Gideon?
Who?
Matthew.
Gideon?
Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce his name. I'm not exactly sure.
No, I don't remember this individual.
Would you be surprised that they found his medications in your truck?
No.
No objection?
I wouldn't, because now that I think about it, Matthew Gideon was an individual that was at the apartment complex. And I think the medication they found was Zoloft.
Did Matthew Gideon stay at the warehouse at any given point in time?
I believe he was there for a day or two in the very beginning before I had met you.
Now, let's get to that. You did say that you didn't meet me until a few days before this happened, correct?
Right, after I got out of jail.
Would you be surprised to learn that there's phone calls between the two of us in October?
In October? Yes, probably surprised, because I don't remember meeting you until after I got out of jail.
So you would say that probably didn't happen?
No, I couldn't be 100% because, like I said, I don't remember meeting you until after I got out of jail.
Okay. And now, when you went to jail, you said, but please explain that how that happened again.
How I went to jail?
Yeah.
The police department, like the Monroe County Sheriff's Department, particularly, decided they wanted to come into the apartment. They were looking for somebody, a woman named Valerie, specifically. And I just happened to be right there in front of them with a marijuana pipe in front of me and went to jail for possession of paraphernalia.
Now, I'm shaking my head because I've heard this story before somewhere. But okay, was I living in the warehouse at that point? Or
No.
staying at the warehouse at that point?
No.
Do you remember CJ and Michelle, some other residents at the warehouse?
Who?
CJ and Michelle?
Never met them, but I do remember the names. Yes, there was a protection order in place between David Gross and said CJ. But I never met the CJ and Michelle.
Okay, so you never met CJ and Michelle, but you knew there was a protective order
Yes,
between
there had been
David
a
Gross
fight. Yes, there had been a fight there previously.
and CJ.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Now, again, maybe your timeline's off, I don't know, but,
Judge, I'm going to object to the commentary.
Okay, I'm
sustained.
Okay. Objection. No problem. I'll tell you what. Did I come to stay at the warehouse because of that?
I don't remember.
Okay, you don't remember. Okay, so now, but you wouldn't remember any calls between the two of us prior.
I don't remember them, no.
Okay. All right, so now we're going to, let's see, we're in October and November, and let's see, damage from Irma. Now, were you here for Hurricane Irma?
No, I was not here for Hurricane Irma, no.
You weren't here for Hurricane Irma?
Nope.
And so what did you, I'm trying to remember back then, okay. When did you come down at that point after Irma?
I came down, like I said, in October, end of October, which would have been right the last days of Fantasy Fest, 28th, 29th, somewhere around there.
Okay. And you didn't have a job or anything like that, right?
No, not at this point, no.
Okay.
What happens at Fantasy Fest
And
stays at Fantasy Fest, by the way.
Oh, here's one. You said that you had quite a bit of money.
Yes.
Okay. And that it came from your military background.
From my disability check and from money that I had been saving from work I had been doing in Detroit.
Okay. And do you just give us approximate about how much we're talking about here?
I had about $2,800 in my pocket.
$2,800. Okay. And let's see. We get okay. Okay. Now, did you find it ironic that you came from Detroit and that Roy Wilson was nicknamed Detroit, and then your friend David Gross is nicknamed Detroit?
Yeah, it was a bit ironic, yes.
Butler Bailiff.
And again, Michigan. But okay, so
Michigan. Enough said.
Okay. Now you said you had money, and then you said you did this for $50 worth of gas money. Was that prearranged or was that afterwards?
It was afterwards.
Okay, so while you're getting ready for this, right? Supposedly Rory Wilson and I talk you into this robbery, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, again, supposedly you saw us put on dark clothes, brandishing weapons. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, again, there's no amount of money that you're expecting out of this.
No.
Okay, so my question would be, why would you do it?
I wanted to get high.
You wanted to get high. So you're willing to drive for armed robbery. You know this is going to be an armed robbery, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you're willing to do it to get high.
Yes.
Okay.
the rationality of the thought process isn't very clear when you're in full addiction.
I would imagine not. How long were you in addiction?
At this point?
Entire life. Have you ever sought out treatment?
Yes, we just discussed that.
No, I talked about your PTSD treatment. I'm talking about drug
It's
treatment.
a combined diagnosis.
It's a combined diagnosis?
Yes, I actually have 3 diagnoses.
Okay.
And the treatment that I received is continuous for all 3. PTSD, bipolar disorder, and drug addiction.
Okay, I'm not a medical or psychologist, but is there different treatments for those things, or you say they're combined?
With the VA, it's an encompassed area. They pay attention to the diagnosis of PTSD, of also drug addiction, of also any other side. I guess you could call them side effects of these diagnoses, and it's like a school the way that the VA sets it up. It's not just a drug addiction counseling. It's drug addiction. It's cognitive behavioral therapy. It is dialectic behavioral therapy. It is, I guess you could call it occupational behavioral therapy. There's all kinds of different areas of treatment that they address. So it's compounds quite extensively.
Did they ever give you any drugs for treatment?
They did.
Okay, and what would those be?
I was put on lithium for a while, Zoloft as well, Lamictal. I've been put on Trazodone for sleep, Ambien, Flexeril for TMJ. The list goes on and on.
So quite a laundry list of prescription medications.
Yes.
Okay. And were you on those in 2017?
No.
Okay, no prescription medications at all?
No.
Okay. And you weren't in treatment in 2017?
No.
Okay. All right. And let's see. Okay, so. Okay, now, you said that the time you met me, right, I wasn't working, right?
Correct.
It would have surprised you to learn if I had an employment at that point.
Yes, it would surprise me.
Okay, and let's see. Okay, you said that Rory Wilson came back, I guess, from Burger King. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay, and he tells you about the money, right?
He was telling you about the money.
He was telling me about the money.
Yeah, you two are the friends. I did not know you two.
Okay. But you're there.
I am there.
Okay.
Yes.
And so you're listening to this entire conversation.
Yes.
Okay, how did he approach me about that?
Sir?
How did he approach me? How did he tell me about the money?
It wasn't a secret. He just came out about it. We were all in the room together. He came out about it. He wasn't secretive about it. He wasn't all cloak and dagger about the information. He was quite excited that he had the information.
Yeah. Well, then, I would imagine you would have heard what he said at that point if he's not being secretive. So what did he say to me about the money?
He said that he found out that over at the Treehouse, there was a large amount of dope and some money, and he wanted to go get it.
Okay. And did he say where he got that information from?
Burger King.
Got it from Burger King. No names or anything like that?
No.
I'll have a large fry, a Whopper, and some intel on where to score some Coke.
And what was my response when I heard this money?
You were pretty much down to do it.
Okay. Did I say anything specific?
Not that I can remember. No, not 100%.
Did I ask him how much money it was? What was going to be entailed?
I don't remember.
Okay, nothing. Did you remember?
No.
Okay. But at the same time, we're not being secretive.
No.
Okay. Okay, so, and you said you never saw the Treehouse prior to that, is that correct?
This is correct.
Okay. And now, when you went around and did your circle here, right, with the truck that he just asked you about, right? When you went around, did you stop any place?
The first round?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, how about the second round, besides the Treehouse?
No.
Okay, so how about the rest of that day? Did you go anyplace else?
On September 17th?
November 17th.
I mean, November 17th, earlier that day? Yes.
Okay, where'd you go?
It was probably at the beach. It's the number one place that I went to, my sanctuary.
Okay.
My sanctuary.
Beach. Any place else?
No.
That's what you know. Okay. And would it surprise you to learn that the MCSO has in evidence a picture of you going into CVS just prior to the crime?
No.
Wouldn't surprise you, or you would be surprised?
I would be surprised because I do not remember that.
Okay, so he's presenting the possibility of impeachment evidence here.
Now, could you explain, if that picture does exist, could you explain why?
Well, I'll let him finish the question, and I'll rule on the objection.
Thank you, Your Honor. If such a picture did exist, could you explain why it would be?
No.
Sustain that.
Okay.
Sustain that objection.
He already got an answer.
When you went around the block there, or what you said you guys were checking it out. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Or that we were checking it out?
Yes.
Right. Okay. And, I guess did we see anything along the way? Did we have any discussion along the way?
Not that I remember. Not that I recall. No.
And now, when did we go back to the warehouse? You said we went back and got in dark clothes and brandished the weapons, right?
Yes.
Okay, when did that happen? Right after that circle or before that?
It was the first circle.
First circle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That was the drive-by when we went to, initially, to show me the location of where we were going.
I was just showing you the location, or Rory
Yes.
was just showing you the location, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so that first drive-by, how much time would you say was between that first go-around and when the truck comes back?
I don't know, from the timestamps, it looked like roughly 10 minutes.
From the video?
Yes. Because the first one was in the 1900s. That would be 7 o'clock.
Okay, so...
Judge, I'm going to object. There's confusion here. They're referring to two different things.
I may be confused here too, so...
Okay, if the witness is confused, then you need to say so.
He says he was
Other
here
than
too.
That,
I'm not sure what two different things we're talking about here. Let me back up, just so that we can be clear. Okay, you went and did this drive-by round, right?
Yes.
And then we went back to the not treehouse, we went back to the warehouse,
Yes.
according to you, right? Okay, and about how much time did you think passed between that first go-around and going back to the warehouse?
My ideal would be around 5 to 10 minutes, maybe even 15. I'm not real sure on times, as far as that goes, as far as my memory serves.
Okay, just trying to get a little timeline here.
Yes.
Okay, and on that video, do you know how many minutes it is between the first go around and when this truck comes back around and you park?
I didn't do the math, no.
Okay. Now, you said about 10-15 minutes before you return.
Judge,
Right.
again, I'm going to object to the mischaracterization of the video. Well, can we come sidebar?
yes, we can go some.
And we go sidebar. Okay, so prosecution is objecting to the mischaracterization of the video. The video has a timestamp on it. It is a continuous video the timestamp is continuous. And so they should be able to look at this and basically do the math and a simple subtraction and see when the first pass occurred, start the clock, and see when the second pass occurred, stop the clock, and see how long occurred between the two. This is not hard math. This is not rocket science. That seems to be what Mr. Tucker is getting at. I don't know why they're objecting to the mischaracterization, because a simple reference back to the video should clear this up. The part of this that just blows me away is that Mr. Tucker is his little comments that he inserts in here. When the objection came, his clarification or his rationale to the prosecutor was saying, well, he was there too, so he should be able to. And it's like you're literally putting yourself in the crime scene. You're putting yourself in the truck that went on through the video right before the murder happened. His comments are going to sink him. All right, the judge is over this. You can see by the hand gestures. He's actually signaling to the bailiff to add something stronger to the water, some sort of flavoring. I'm thinking it would be like watermelon. I don't know what he wants. But I think the judge has a headache already. Let's see. The witness obviously seems to remember more facts that are consistent with the state's case. Yes, and his demeanor in answering questions has changed noticeably between the two, but his agreement was to participate with the state. His agreement is not to participate with Mr. Tucker, right? That's not part of the deal that he got cut. And he got a sweet deal. I mean, he basically pled guilty to armed robbery with a mask and another similar. Basically, what happened inside the treehouse, he pled guilty to those. They dropped the murder charge. Okay, they dropped the what happened outside the treehouse to Matt, the owner of the treehouse, and there's charged him for what happened inside the treehouse. So he pled guilty as if he was one of the two, even though he wasn't, because you've got the whole legal argument that if you're the getaway driver, you can be charged and held accountable just as if you were the person committing the crime that you're providing the getaway vehicle for. So, because he was there, yes, this is what we're hearing. All right, he's asking for insight. He's asking insider questions. Yes, only he would know. Only he would know in some of these situations. And I once again, I get the feel that Mr. Tucker is most upset with how he was caught, not the fact that he was caught. He doesn't agree that the police followed the proper steps to get the information. They just ended up with the information, and that didn't seem fair.
We need to clarify just something here. Now, when you did that first drive-by, in the video that we see in the video, that was not your first drive-by on the treehouse. Is that correct?
I do not believe so.
Okay, you don't believe so. And okay, it's hard to ask if you don't believe so. If you did do another drive-by, about approximately how long would it have been?
About 10 to 15 minutes.
10, 15 minutes prior to that first drive-by.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you went back. Okay, so it would have been 10, 15 minutes from the one we can't see. The one we can't see that's on here.
Correct.
15 minutes from that first one back to the warehouse, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, about how long do you think it took for me and Rory Wilson to put on the dark clothes and come down with the weapons and all that?
Not very long. About 5 minutes.
About 5 minutes to do that. Okay. And about how long is the trip to the treehouse?
30 seconds. A minute. It's not far.
$50 worth of
200
gas.
meters away.
200 meters away.
Yeah.
Okay.
We drove 200 meters.
And let's see.
The bailiffs returning the water. Put it right next to the
Okay,
home
now,
defense spray.
Let's go back to this video for a second. Just for a second. Do you mind, John? Can I grab the microphone while I'm up there?
Yes.
Yes, you might grab the microphone. Quit asking me questions. Yes.
Okay. This is a video from Combs. We've all seen it. I believe it's marked exhibit number 6, if I'm correct.
I'm not sure which exhibit is loaded in the.
But it's loaded.
I believe it's number 7, because I still have number 8 in envelope.
I was thinking, wasn't number 7 the Florida Keys Electric video? I might be wrong. I just want to check. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't even see this. So, okay. We'll worry about exhibits later. Let's just go to this. Okay, Mr. Mansfield suggested
You can't do that.
that you could see a headlight in here, correct? If you need to get closer, please. And that you could see it in this boat, right? Now, let's back up a little bit. Actually, I don't even know if we need to back up, but we'll go ahead.
We're going to back up anyway.
Now, you would agree it's dark, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And does this video kind of represent at least, the visual as far as being able to see dark outside?
Yes.
A little bit more light just because we're seeing the marina here, correct?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Did I miss a Law 101 in there?
Let's see. Oh, yeah, that's playing, okay. Give me.
You can see, Tucker, but no one else can.
Let's see. I'll go around. I'm just going to try and skip forward to when your truck gets here, okay? There we go. Got one coming in. Now, you said when you went around that first time, right, that there was a black car that's sitting there.
Yes.
right? And where was it sitting?
If you're looking this direction, it would have been sitting right by the gate.
Right by the gate. Okay, so the gate, if you could show me on this video, it's over this way, correct?
It is.
Got the bailiff down here.
Okay, that would explain why we can't see it, right? Okay. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Now, when you testified a little bit earlier, did you say that you dropped Rory and Wilson and I off at the gate?
No, you got out of my vehicle a little ways forward
down.
of the gate. Yes.
Okay, and about how far is the stop sign here? I don't know.
I don't remember that night.
Once my memory serves, it is almost like right here. You would maybe another 25 meters.
25 meters. Okay, so not very far.
Not very far.
Mr. Johnson's also from Canada. Remember,
Still haven't
they
seen
use
your
meters
truck.
up
Come
there.
on, let's see what we can do here.
Wait for the truck. Wait for the truck. We're skipping around.
Let's see. Now,
there it is. Oh, back up, back up. Tiny bit.
when we supposedly get out of here, supposedly we get out of here, right? You said you watched us go into the gate, correct? Yes. And about, let's see, that's 25 meters. You got your truck here. And about how far is that gate away from where your truck is?
50 meters.
About 50 meters. Okay.
So 75 meters total. Because he pulls up to the stop sign.
Let's see, I still haven't seen a truck come up. I'm just inching it forward because I don't know where the exact timestamp is here. But let's see where we got this truck. I think it's 1933 or something like that. Might be.
It's 1943.
1943, see? Good year.
The witness remembers.
All right. So
1934, 35, 36, 37, 38. Oh, there we go.
It's still 33. More forward than that.
Maybe it was a click.
So this thing doesn't go very fast. Okay, got this. It was going a little bit slower than I thought. I'm going to take your word for this and go to 43. So almost at the end of the video.
But the bailiff is testing the goods.
Anyway, you should be coming up here in a second, right? If it's 1943, right?
Correct.
Okay.
No. Currently, the witness is out on parole. He's got 5 years of supervision.
Now, while we're waiting,
He got out in April last year.
While you were in jail and you're going through this, did your lawyer go over all these materials with you?
No.
Okay. Did he go over any of the evidence in the case with you?
Objection.
Some of it, yes.
Why did they not object? Isn't there some
I should have.
some protection between what you do with your lawyer?
Now, you testified that when you were up in Big Pine, when I shouldn't say the cops, when the officers came to see you up in Big Pine with your truck, right? Now, you had emptied your truck out into the house already?
Yes.
Okay. And that they came under the guise of
My stolen property and the vehicle damage report that I filed.
Okay. Did detective picture? I would imagine, because if I remember correctly from my knowledge, I did see that. Thank you. Anyway, let me back it up a little bit.
About 20 seconds.
About 20 seconds. I don't think it's that much. Hold on, let's go back a little bit. There we go. I think
Prosecution could have given him the timestamp and heartbeat. They're letting him flounder.
Right.
They don't have to help him.
Right here. There we go. Got the motorcycle and then the truck, right? I'm assuming that's a motorcycle, but. Keep going. Well, apparently 1943 is not our number.
Waiting.
There
Here we go.
There we go.
Boom. There's the
Okay,
truck.
so that is your truck, right?
Correct.
Okay. And again, we can't see anybody. We've all been through that. Nobody in the truck, right? We can't see anybody.
Correct.
Okay. Now, This is more towards the point. Let's go here. Okay. And this is when you park, right?
But he asked what they
so
talked about. If I
we're
remember
assuming
correctly.
that you parked
The
right
question
here,
was,
right?
Right out of
did you talk to your lawyer about? Wasn't that?
And let's see. Now, are your headlights still on?
I don't recall. I don't remember.
Okay. Wow.
You wouldn't see them anyways because of the direction they were pointed.
Okay, so when Mr. Mansfield had you point out headlights on the boat, where were you pointing at?
I was pointing at the glare on the front of the boat.
This one right here?
Yes.
Okay, this right here.
Yes.
Okay. Let's take a look at this. Okay, let's go forward. Does anybody have a timestamp for the...
Does anybody? Can somebody help?
Let's go ahead and we'll maybe move it forward a little bit here. That glare is still there, right? It's glare right here, right? That's the headlights, right?
It's it looks like a glare, a light glare.
Okay. Well,
I don't know if I could specifically say they're headlights, but it does look like a light glare.
But you did say
well,
they were
Mr.
headlights.
Mansfield believed they were headlights.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, good. Let's see, let's get closer here. Oh, I think we might be getting there.
If my thumbnail gets used in this court,
Now, you said when you went back around, though, you came around the first time, and then the second time, though, the black sedan or black car was gone?
Correct.
Okay.
so just below that little line that goes down the side of that big boat, there's a light reflection, and that's what they're talking about. The reflection seems to be there whether or not
The glare's still there, correct?
Yes.
Let's check.
And it happens to be what the prosecutor said was a reflection of the headlights showing the truck was there.
Let's see if we can pick up that one.
The jury is behind and to the left of Mr. Tucker. They may have a view of this still, because he is sort of.
There we go. Okay, hold on.
I think they can see.
I just stopped it and paused it. I know it's got to be hard for the jury to see, but again, Todd O'Quinn with the flashlight. You guys can look at it later. But is that
Sustain that.
Is that
That's
the same?
testimonial. Please disregard that. Let's, at jurors, if we have a question, we can certainly go with that.
Travis, is that what you identified as Todd O'Quinn running with the flashlight?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so that's Todd O'Quinn running up the hill. Now, this is when you said, correct me if I'm wrong, that you got spooked and took off, right?
Yes, in process of taking off, yes.
In the process of taking off. And in the process of taking off, you said you looked back, saw me with the backpack, and
Yes.
I'm stumbling, grabbing things, right?
Right, correct.
Okay. So you're taking off while you're doing that.
Yes.
Okay. Now, okay, so let's keep playing here. So he runs up the hill. Now, it's a pretty long time right there, right? He just ran up the hill. He's over here by CVS. If that is what we're still saying is Todd O'Quinn,
Yes.
correct? Okay. Now, the glare that Mr. Mansfield said was headlights, is that still there on the boat?
It is.
Okay. Now, there's not much left of this video. Glare still there?
Yes.
Okay, and I think this is the end of the video,
Is he
or at least for
impeaching the
this
prosecutor?
video. Okay.
I think he's impeaching the prosecutor.
It went all the way to the end of the video. Did that glare ever move?
No.
Okay.
No.
So if that was indeed your headlights, that means the truck never moved.
I'm confused. What are you
Well,
getting at?
if Mr. Mansfield is correct, and that is headlights that's in the glare there, right, and the glare doesn't move, you would have to assume that the truck doesn't move.
The glare was facing the wrong direction for it to be my truck anyways. My headlights were facing the other direction. The glare is coming in
But you testified
from it
that
looked
it
like
was.
a reflection off of something. I don't know. I know that my truck was headed the other direction.
Your truck was headed the other direction.
Yes.
So wait a second.
That way.
Okay, wait a second.
With the reference to the frame,
Hold on.
the way the vehicle comes through.
Let me back it up for just a second so that I can get a clear picture here too, because I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about. Let's go back a little bit. And we don't need to see, all we need, I just want directions here. Okay? Okay.
Okay.
Now, you say, okay, we all agreed that this is a truck going this way, right? A truck going this way. Where were you facing that was different than that way?
I wasn't.
Okay, so I'm confused.
My truck has
here.
never changed orientations. My truck came through the frame from the left to the right, never changed orientations, and continued out of the frame to the right. Because the street where the stop sign is 2nd Avenue, and it turns right and goes right directly to the warehouse.
Okay, and so your truck is facing this direction, right?
Correct.
Okay, and Mr. Mansfield said he thinks this glare here is your headlights, and you agreed with him. Is that correct?
It could have possibly been. I agreed because the possibility at the time looked like it could have been my reflection of my headlights. Correct.
Okay, but you would agree if that is your headlights that the trucks did not move.
Your question doesn't make any sense, bro. This is a situation where my truck goes through, the headlights look like they're reflected off the boat. The boat obviously has a reflection from another light source, not my truck. So we can eliminate the fact that those lights on that boat are not my headlights. Okay? He did ask the question, do you think those are your headlights? It's possible they could have been a reflection, but are they? No, they are not.
Okay,
my truck is heading the other direction.
So you're disagreeing with Mr. Mansfield now.
Objection now. Asked and answered. We spent 5 minutes on what Mr. Mansfield says.
Okay, we'll just overrule the objection, have the final question on this area, and that'll take care of it. So, if you want to repeat it, go ahead and repeat
Thank you. Again, Mr. Johnson. You agreed with Mr. Mansfield initially that this reflection could be your headlights.
Correct.
Okay. Now we are saying
Final question.
You disagree, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Impeachment. Boom. Reflection on the boat was not the headlights. Witness has changed his story on the stand. He's given both answers under oath. That technically is impeachment
Tucker,
material.
Is that basically your inquiries on
That
this?
was my inquiry for now, Your Honor. Yeah,
Okay.
that's all
On
I
this-
need for that video.
I'm just saying, I think it's a good time to break for lunch.
I would agree, Your Honor. I would agree.
Okay, so thank you for your patience and attention during our morning session. Members of the jury, it's time for lunch. The usual instructions apply. Let's say 1:25 we'll return and resume at this point. Enjoy your lunch, and we'll see you then.
Okay, so as the jurors get up, what Mr. Tucker is hoping that the jurors have in their mind is a little bit of a Latin phrase, falsus in uno, falsus in omnibus, meaning if you lied about one thing, if one thing is false in your testimony, all of your testimony is false. We can't believe any of it. He's hoping that that little bit was enough to convince the jury that this is not a credible witness and we should disregard his testimony. I'm not sure. Are you disregarded? What I think he proved.
We'll be back at 1:25 and go from there.
1:25, hour and 20 minutes.
Mr. John.
I need that video.
Okay, the clerk would like to get the video from the machine. You don't discuss your testimony. Anybody want any other instructions other than to tell him during lunch not to be talking about his testimony with anyone?
No, Your Honor.
No, that's fine. And just, Mr. Johnson, if you could just be out here by 1:15 so we can pick up on time, that'd be great.
Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson, don't go to the beach. Do not go to the beach. Do not visit the sanctuary. Yeah. Okay. So they're gonna break for lunch, and we're gonna also break for lunch. But the only thing that I think I've gained from this is that this current witness, Mr. Johnson, who's going to be on the stand once we come back from lunch as well, the spiciness is not over. This current witness has proven his overexuberance to agree with the state to comply with this, to keep this sweetheart deal, to keep the deal that keeps him out of jail. Does he have a swimsuit on? We believe he does. We believe he's going to be visiting the beach after. He definitely has some festive, appropriate wear for maybe for the what was the festival? Was it Fantasy Fest or something? He's dressed for the beach. Other than the tennis shoes and socks, I think he should have flip flops. I was actually surprised he didn't have flip flops on when he came into court. But we see that the Mr. Johnson is very much willing to agree with the state, because that's his deal. He has to agree with the state. Let's see. Let's see. P&W says we've got another case coming up in Olympia. Let's see. Might get a trial watch out of that. Is that also going to be in Thurston? That's going to be in Thurston court. It's going to be live streamed. PNW, we'd love to follow it. We'd love to follow it. We enjoyed following your last case as well that you won. So we're looking forward to it. I imagine you probably have the same attorney helping you out on this one that did a great job on the last one. So thanks for getting us. Let's see. We're going to call that the U-Haul assault.
Somebody just sent me a video of roaches fighting.
Someone did.
I don't know who won.
January 18th. That's tomorrow. We might have to record this because we've got competing cases. So PNW, we might have to record that one. I've got the ability to do that, and we'll see where we're going. But yeah, this case is riveting. It's getting very interesting. I think Mr. Tucker is by degrees getting better at being a lawyer, but this is not the time to learn the law.
Don't miss the forest.
This is not the time to learn the law. Please do not follow this example. I honestly, if I could give advice to Mr. Tucker, it would be get a lawyer. Get a lawyer. Do whatever you have to do to get a lawyer to help you. I realize your previous lawyer may not have wanted to defend you in the way you wanted to be defended, right? When you go to the doctor and you say, "Hey, doctor, this hurts. What's going on?" And he says, "Well, here's what you need to do. You need to exercise. You need to change your diet." You're like, "I want a second opinion because I don't like the prescription you were giving me. I'd like someone who give me a pill and say, oh, the pain's gone. You can keep doing what you're doing." Well, a lawyer is a lot the same way. You present the evidence to the lawyer. They're going to move forward with the case, with your defense, the theory of defense, in the way that they feel is best able to give you the best possible representation of the best outcome. It may not be in telling the story and fighting these issues about how the police arrested you or when they had knowledge about this or the headlights in the truck. And maybe that's why he's defending himself. Maybe that's why he's doing this on his own. But we are going to break for lunch because my hands are shaking. All I've had for breakfast was a lot of hot chocolate. And I've had nothing since then. Oh, my goodness. Let's see. It's we're going to have some food here soon or else I'm going to pass out. So we are going to break for lunch. We have an hour and 20 minutes. So we'll be back at an hour. What is it? Did he say 1:20? Which means we're going to be back just after 1. Give us an hour at least. Maybe an hour. Let's see, an hour and 20 minutes. So we're about an hour and 15. Between 1 and 1:15, we're going to be back from lunch. We're going to follow this. I have not.
Someone with more experience.
I've not followed everything else. Yes, Sarah Boone trial delayed till the middle of May. They got pushed out 3 dockets length, which puts us out there. That happened yesterday. Thank you very much, Jackie, for that update. We're hoping that this is the final push. I would not be surprised if we see another filing in the Sarah Boone case, granting them authority to hire an expert, but also limiting them in the funds that hires that expert to not reach the amount that this expert wants. So yes, they'll authorize it, but only with a certain pay cap, which will not be enough to get this particular person. That's my prediction on the Sarah Boone front.
When are we going to break for lunch, Jake?
Soon. I tell you, I need a break. Let's see, get some food. We'll do that. Is there anything else we need to talk about in the world of true crime that we need to watch during lunch or anything else? Is there somewhere that I need to send you during the lunch break for those who may have either already eaten their lunch, have consumed that? How rude for you guys to eat while we're not. I'm just kidding. Let's see. I'm not seeing a lot out there. We'll probably just break for lunch, and so we're just going to break. And I don't see Brandy. Is Brandy live? Brandy, where are you at? I saw a tweet from her that said she was going to be later today because of a conflicting schedule. Let's see. She's not live yet. She's going to be live in a little bit, but watch for that. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to go for lunch. We're going to come back, and I refuse to run for you to burn off your 26 grams of sugar per serving of Stevens. Reverend Beasy, I just won't tell you how many servings of hot cocoa I had this morning. We'll patch over to Brandy. She's going to be live in 20 minutes. Hopefully our chat's open, so you guys will be able to hang out with a couple of our good friends over there, some of our 13th addicts. Let's see. Where's Brandy again? She disappeared. It was just on this list. Hang on. There it is. Watch live. You'll have a little bit of Brandy to go to on lunch. And then if you'd like, we'd love it if you come back and join us. If not, if you find Brandy's case just absolutely intriguing, which I believe it is, I don't blame you if you stay there. That's a wonderful channel to watch as well. So that I would not feel offended if you cheated on me for watching her channel. Our chat is open. Thank you, True Crime Ranch. When we're done, we're going to send everybody over there as well. So let me do that. A little bit of Brandy for lunch. That's what Adam heard, apparently. That goes with the case. Wow, this case has been a doozy. It's not over yet. We still have some more fiery cross. I believe Mr. Tucker is not finished impeaching this witness. I believe he has other videos he wants to present, including some of his interviews, possibly some of the stories that he told to the detectives. If he wants to get into that and play that. We'll get into the vacillating a little bit. But yes, have yourselves a great lunch. Please stay warm. That's our number one instruction for everybody. Please stay warm. I hope everyone stays warm today. Tonight when you go home, please hug the people you love. Smile at someone. Make their day just a little bit better. And please stay safe till we go live again, which will be in about an hour. Roughly an hour. And we're going to be back with this Treehouse murder case. That just is the gift that keeps giving. It's like that fruit. What's that bread made out of fruit that you give away at Christmas? It's fruitcake, right? Fruitcake. That's just you get it and you just rewrap it and give it to somebody else. It's the gift that keeps giving. So that's what this case is. Hope you guys are enjoying it. I sure am. I'm enjoying it because I'm here with you guys. It's the best place to watch true crime. But that's thanks to you. I appreciate all of you for being here. Have a great lunch. We'll catch you after. Bye bye.
Roaches fighting. I don't know who won.
How does he do that?